All right, everybody. I think it's about time to get started. 6 o'clock has come. We are live on YouTube, live on LMC TV. Welcome, everyone, to the LMC Varsity Sports Rewatch of the Mamaroneck and Arlington sectional baseball semifinal from May 27th, 2015. We're just about ready to go. We have a panel with us, and they're unmuting themselves and bringing their microphones on as we speak. We've got Seth Rothman, former sports producer, Ken Reichman, and Steven Nastis. They were the original commentators on today's game. Oh. And of course, I'm Rob Moretti. Hey guys, how you doing?
Good to be with you.
Oh, we're doing. I'm upset that you brought up the fact that Steve and I were on the call, but we can get past that.
Did you want that to be a surprise, Ken?
I was trying to stay anonymous.
I think they were going to figure it out.
So I say we get right into it. Anyone else have any opening comments before we get started?
During the broadcast, it is really many top-notch athletes are in this game and have gone on, storied careers in college and now into professional baseball.
I'm having trouble hearing. Have we lost Steve?
I'm still here.
Oh, there he is.
Okay. Audio's going in and out. All right, the show will go on.
The show shall.
Did you not? Right. That was actually inspired.
I'm sure.
On purpose.
It was incredible commentary by me. I'll be submitting it to Pulitzer.
Oh, wow. That's big. Maybe you could grab yourself a Nobel Peace Prize because the Nobel doesn't exist anymore. Who knows?
No, I'm going for the Nobel.
I will say, let me, as the second commentator on this game with our dear friend Steve, I mentioned maybe 60 or 70 times in the next 2.5 hours of gameplay how many pitches Kumar Nambiar throws and how appropriate it is that he throws like 600 pitches in this high school baseball game. I stand by those statements, but he was unbelievable. So we can watch in the knowledge that his arm did not fall off the next day, which I was frankly afraid that it would. So I stand by those comments, but
it really was an incredible performance by him. Yeah, absolutely. And Bill Flato, but we'll get into that as we watch the broadcast.
I don't know if there's going to be enough time to touch on it all, Steve. So hopefully we can find some downtime.
Yeah. All right, let's get it started from the top.
Let's do it. Let's see that hairline.
Ladies and gentlemen, to Manchester Field at Mamaroneck High School. It's that time of year again, folks. Mamaroneck Tigers baseball sectional semifinals versus the Arlington Admirals.
Steve, you look pretty good, huh?
Exciting game with Ken Reichman. I'm Steven Nastis coming to you from Manchester Field. It's going to be an exciting game here. It's the two seed versus the 3 seed. Mamaroneck has been in the tops in the state and in the section all season long. Just a few hiccups. We're definitely going to have a very exciting game.
I don't know what happened.
Oh, without a doubt, Mamaroneck 11
gained a few pounds.
A long 5 years.
Today they get to try and do it again against a team that they took care of in the regular season, just like they took care of North Rockland in the regular season. Got a chance to do it in the postseason. They'll do the same thing with Arlington today.
So it'll be Billy Flato on the mound again. Kumar Nambiar took care of business against North Rockland on Saturday in a very exciting close game. It came down to
that means it must have been close to this start.
So we'll be back in just a moment with the starting lineup and the start of
a million pitches in a week.
Yeah, so we can get into that a bit as we get into the game, but I don't remember the exact days that the games took place. Oh, look at this old school opening I was using. My goodness. Might cut the HD version yet, huh? Wow. There was a whole controversy that Coach Schiaparelli went with Bill Flato in the first round instead of Kumar Nambiar. Normally, a team would go in using their ace.
So here we are at the start of action for the semifinal in Section 1. Ken, I got to tell you, the excitement in the stadium is palpable. The fans are showing up.
I think quite much to his credit, Shap came out, I think it was in the Journal News and in other interviews and said, look, I'm not trying to win one game, I'm trying to win a whole tournament. And he had Kumar had already beaten North Rockland, where they played in the level before this in the regular season. Bill Flato had pitched well and beaten Arlington earlier in the regular season. And then if everything falls into place, he's expecting to have his ace ready for the championship game. Although, as we'll see,
so Billy Flato is on the mound, as we mentioned, number 8. He's a junior, starting quarterback, and the first pitch. Low and away for ball 1, 1-0.
It started with a first pitch off-speed pitch there. It looked like a curveball to get.
I'm happy I brought that up in the game because that guy just started the game with like a looping 12-6 curveball. That's a fascinating way to begin an evening of baseball.
We'll take you through the Mamaroneck.
Rob, you talked about how Shap wanted to, starters. He was always kind of thinking that one step ahead in all these playoff rounds and all these playoff tournaments. He was always thinking about, I'm not just trying to win that first game, and he always used to say the first game in the playoffs is always the most difficult one. He's always trying to figure out, I don't want to just win one game. I want to win the entire thing, and how do you get from point A to point E? And I think Shap, out of all the coaches in this area, was one of the ones that really
I always wonder if you should bring a glove if you're doing a game up here.
And
it really is a signal of strength when you hold your ace. It's a signal of strength and confidence.
Swing and a lazy fly ball.
And when you go to tournaments in youth baseball outside of school play, and there's the first out to Emerson Genovese. When you go into tournament play, oftentimes it's the desperate team that starts ace in game 1 and goes down the pecking order of their pitching rotation, just trying to stay alive as long as they can and have as good a showing as possible. But when you assess the Mamaroneck has and that Chaparelli has the expectation for success, then you're foolish to start your ace first off, because it's not about that first game. If you lose that first game, you didn't deserve to be there. Thinking there.
Rob, do you remember why we chose back when we were both in high school? We both chose to put the main camera in that spot. It's actually a funny story. Do you remember why?
Easily handled
by from what I remember, you were running the show, so I put the camera where you told me to.
All right. So
good answer, Rob. Good answer.
The story actually goes.
Well, we've got the square
Michael Rich, the old video teacher at MHS.
Whoa.
So that actually creates that short.
Said to me, I want to, use film a game. And I went to scout out a location, and do you remember the old MHS video cameras and what the battery length was on those cameras?
The battery length in terms of how long they lasted, I don't recall.
It was
it wasn't a long time.
So 20 minutes the battery on these old school VHS cameras. And so we had to find a spot where we could plug in order to do the game.
Right.
And we ended up plugging in the old computer lab on the Palmer Avenue side of the building, running an extension cord down the building to that spot, and that's why we filmed from that spot. It just so happened that it was kind of the best spot to do a game from.
Wow.
Yeah, the only other spot that we've really done a game from is up on that landing behind home plate. They've cleared some of those trees out, so you can see most of the field from there now. I think back when we were in high school, and certainly in 2015, I don't think that was the case.
Right. I think myself and old friend of the program, Ian Sachs, did a game from behind that clearing as they moved those things.
You guys were sitting on the hill, right? You had a jolly old Saturday afternoon.
That was a fascinating afternoon, and you got mad at us because we couldn't see any of the player changes because obviously it's high school and they're not announced, right? They're not like coming over the loudspeaker saying, this guy's coming in first base. And everybody in high school looks very similar. They all look like children. And we couldn't tell that anybody had changed positions or was like moving around the field. We could barely tell if the pitcher had changed. And I remember you called or sent us an email actually after the game and we're like, you guys suck. Like, what was going on? And Ian and I were like, yeah, that's our bad. We didn't notice anything happened. Couldn't see anything.
I think one of the pitchers was actually left-handed. You just had no idea it was a different person.
Number 20, Joe Asenza.
By the way, guys, just to point this out, all three of the first three hitters for Arlington Dan Schweitzer is playing baseball at SUNY Cortland.
On Saturday against
Liam O'Leary is playing at Rockport.
One of which fell in between the
and
shortstop
Joe
and left field, and the other one that was a bomb out
is
to right
at
center field,
Nichols
which
College.
ended up going up against the wall. And as we were talking
Well,
about,
still playing ball, huh? That's pretty
So
impressive.
Bill Flato, who is of course the starter, was the offensive player of the year in the Empire 8, playing for
in the prior matchup. It was the
Morrisville.
same pitching matchup
in
for
football.
Arlington.
He's been a quarterback
And
for
Mamaroneck as
the
Carlin
Mustangs
hits a
for
deep fly ball
several years
foul.
It's impressive. I can't even win Offensive Player of the Year in Madden, so that's like that's pretty impressive.
So as I was saying,
Ken, we got to change up your playbook or something.
I know. Drop back 400 yards and then hold down circle until it's either caught or picked off. That's about all I got.
Andy Carlin was talking to NC State and ended up going to Long Island University. And it didn't work out for him there. Not really sure why, but he ended up going to Monroe College
and it's one that you've got to make contact
for a while, and then I think he was at like Palm Beach State when last I checked.
Front, one out.
This field is just it's so good for us to film a game. Like it just looks good here.
It's
even
cool.
At 400 feet away, and it's impossible to zoom in all the way. All the angles here. It's just on a beautiful sunny day like this. It looks so good here.
Beautiful sunny day right now, Seth. I'll give you another hour to see what happens with the weather. It becomes the only topic of conversation between Steve and I for the entirety of the second half of the game.
For Sereno, who
yeah, there was something nasty coming. We'll get into it later, but yeah, it really took a turn. I think we barely got the post game done before the heavens opened up.
We were running, man. We were getting out of there as soon as possible. I will say, Seth, to comment on what you just said, like the school in the background, and it looks like it looks very collegiate. Like it's all brick, and kind of like looks like a campus. You know, like it really does. Settles beautifully in there. And like you said, I mean, in a sunny day like this, it looks very nice, but it'll look a little more ominous, I guess, later. Nice. That lady in the back there has the nice umbrella. Little did she know.
So they they lost 3 in a row, I think, earlier a few weeks prior to this game.
Yeah, and I think in mid to late April there was a small losing streak, and changed up the batting order, right?
You're right. They flipped. They put Carlin up at the leadoff spot.
Baseball teams at the varsity level, you only really need 2, maybe 3.
Andrew Sommer, who just got.
So that's a 2-1
he played
count.
football at Amherst,
really 2 or 3
and considering playing baseball as well,
be a force in the league and the section.
And wound up being one of the team leaders for defense at Amherst College, and now he lives out in Colorado.
But Barbieri is able to come back down on the
Financial
back,
analyst,
and
that's Peter Matt.
For the bottom of the first. So,
it's really unfortunate for Peter because he was supposed to have his senior year. He was on the All-Ivy team heading into the season. He is a draft prospect now, and I hope that he will find a way into the MLB draft. But he was really looking to sort of pump up his draft status going into this season, and now they've all, because I'm sure a lot of you guys know, the Ivy League decided to refuse the opportunity to extend another year to their athletes this season. So his college playing career is essentially over. I'm not sure if he would get that year of eligibility back if he decided to go get a graduate degree or something and play that 4th year of eligibility, or if in fact they are counting it as played and he isn't even out. That would be a true NCAA moment, is if they refuse to let an Ivy League player capable of getting some master's degree somewhere.
Yeah, it's, I mean, you know, you talk about what the shutdown means for the professional ranks and even the college ranks, but here at the high school level, like, you know, we're so hopeful that we hope to have a season just because this is their only chance. I mean, this is, you know, this is their only chance to be a senior and to play with their friends, maybe their, you know, last chance. So I know we're all really hopeful that we're going to get this thing in, because you know, it's really going to hurt these you know, high school kids if we're not able to get.
Well, they just
we're going to find out soon.
Yesterday, officially, that
first playoff game and
the state tournament is canceled. So now, if anything gets played, it'll just be some regular season games, which frankly, I mean, why couldn't they do that in late June or July even? People having summer jobs are pretty slim to none. I know my son was planning on being a bar back. You know, I don't know if that business is going to be open, or if it is open, you know, the industry will be flooded with people looking for work more so than an 18-year-old college high school graduate.
I know
it's going to be interesting to see.
I know there are concerns there about heat indexes, postponing a bunch of games when it's nice out. I think Section 1's having a meeting tomorrow where they may or may not make a decision about if and when the season might start. And I know Governor Cuomo said earlier today that he's going to have more news about schools opening if and when by the end of the week. So we're going to get some answers probably soon about what the possibilities might be.
By the way, that's Kumar Nambiar playing right field there.
Yeah, you like that underhand flip after he made the catch. He's like, I'm not even throwing. Like, I know what's coming.
I've got to rest my arm.
Seth, I mean, you're more in the sports world than any of us right now. Are you like hearing anything around the newsroom or anything like that in terms of like how leagues or teams are reacting to drafts and stuff where nobody's getting a chance to look at these kids play?
Again, you know what? I have not been in the office in exactly 7 weeks tonight.
The Slack isn't going wild?
The Slack is going wild. The emails are going wild. Our Zoom meetings are going wild.
I believe that.
We are getting stuff done. We are obviously putting stuff on the air, but no, there has not been much in the way of updates other than what we've seen in the media. I know today Ken Rosenthal had a piece and Bob Nightingale had a piece about what MLB is thinking about doing, and I know that we're expecting to have an MLB season, but I don't have any inside knowledge on any of that.
Somebody's going to be busy watching that one, but
I mean, the weirdest one is that the NHL seems hell-bent on doing something still, which is fascinating and concerning and confusing, and at the same time, they're also floating ideas of still executing the draft in June, which is another very strange decision to come to at this point. But I don't envy those guys who have to make those decisions right now because there's no good answer.
Yeah, and I saw just before coming on, Pierre LeBrun had an article in The Athletic that they're thinking they could extend this season into October for hockey, and then start next season in December and still play an 82-game season.
What are we doing here? What are we doing?
Listen, this is uncharted territory.
Yeah, I know it is.
They're trying to do whatever they can, but in all honesty, to bring this back full circle, like I hope that the local high school sports officials are thinking as outside the box as these professional leagues are, because as we said, we really want to see, you know, live high school sports back in any capacity, even if it's only a 5 or 10 game season, just to give them something, to give them, you know, any kind of an outlet. So I know that hopefully they're thinking as outside the box as some of the professional leagues are.
By the way, the first base runner of the game is on first base. There was an inside single, infield single. Nice diving stop by Miles.
He brings that in.
Miles Hawdy wasn't able to come up with him.
Into scoring position.
Fantastic basketball player as well. He's actually named the Mid-Hudson Conference Player of the Year, playing for the Westchester Vikings at Westchester Community College.
Nice job.
You know, I can't even get Player of the Year in Madden. No, I'm kidding. I already made that joke.
We heard that already.
He's also listed as 6'5". Now, I don't remember him ever.
How many?
And that comes from the
he definitely gained
I have seen him.
Yeah, that's like me and Seth standing on each other's shoulders.
Swing and a miss, and that will do it for the top of the second inning. Flato rings him up on strikes.
Plato had a heck of a game. Oh, that was odd.
The score is tied, 0-0 here on LMC
Plato did have a heck of a game.
Yeah.
Sports.
Yeah. Pitched 6 strong.
For the
what did he went 14 strong, and then Nambiar won another 18.
Andrew Gross.
That felt like it.
It did feel like it.
But that's the thing. We get into it later. Kumar, he pitched the round before this. I don't know if he went the whole game or not, but if he didn't, he went 5 or 6. Threw plenty of pitches. Comes in, throws 7 innings in relief in this one, and then he comes in relief and gets, I think, the last 4 or 5 outs of the section championship game. So not only is it incredible, but if you look at the pitch count rules that have gone into effect in the state since then, they have higher limits for the postseason. What he did is actually still allowed.
Yes, but
It's pushing the limits, but he probably still could have done that with 20 or 30 pitches to spare.
To your point, fundamentals.
20 or 30 pitches to spare?
Yeah, and I think the whole thing comes down to they count it as night's rest and not days of rest. So
yes,
you're on one night's rest if you go back-to-back days. So it gives you a little bit more wiggle room, but I think most coaches, responsibly don't want to push those limits until it's the postseason where they give them a little bit more room to work with.
You think highly of coaches, Rob?
Well, I like to think that there's a little bit. There are things that are more important than just the game. Like there's a young man's right arm that is at stake here, whether it's for baseball or for life.
I'm just realizing this game, May 27th, 2015, I think I had graduated maybe 7 days before this from the old Iona College up there.
Is right in the mix amongst the
a fresh graduate here you got on your airwaves.
Free man.
Unemployed and ready to rock.
Technically, you were employed during the broadcast.
Sure, fair enough.
Anthony Pecora at the plate is now at Wagner College.
Especially coming out of the
He's had a very nice college career.
He gave a great
He looks
quote.
very comfortable.
Fouls that one.
Sorry, Seth.
No, he gave a great quote after they won the state title this season, spoiler alert, about how his group had looked up to the 2008, 2009 team, the Sean Hagans, Rosenfeld, and that was sort of the group they all compared themselves to. And now here he is winning a state title, and now the kids now look up to Pecora and the Carlins and Nambiar and all those guys that were on this team.
Getting down, blocking that ball, keeping it in front of you, and then making the out at first.
And that's really how you build a program. Like you're gonna have turnover every year, but if you start with one prime example of what a great team is, and then the younger kids see that and they can kind of soak some of that in. I think it's been the same with the hockey program and other programs at Mamaroneck as well. The field hockey program, year in, year out. Even the soccer program, the lacrosse program. Really all across most sports at Mamaroneck, you have these successful teams that kind of serve as an example that the youth programs can draw upon, and they can start to implement some of those winning strategies when they get into the high school ranks.
Well, we talked about it when we started the broadcast. I mean, we can talk about it all. We can talk about it for another 2 hours if we wanted to, but that all starts from the top, right? I mean, that's Shap. I mean, that's consistency. That's calm. It's cool. It's collected. He knows what he's doing. He's got his, he's got his style. People respect it. He's got his respect around the community for a multitude of sports, which you don't see at this level at a lot of other places. I mean, I couldn't name one. I know that. But to be able to carry that over from winter to fall to spring and do everything he does, building the programs from ground up, the consistency and that, that respect is important.
I mean, Steve, your son plays like. These kids want to play for Shap. This is not just, I want to play baseball, I want to play hockey. They want to play for Shap. I mean, he is a local legend. I mean, we'll obviously get more into Shap as the game goes on, but not only do kids want to play for Shap, kids also see Mike Schiaparelli all over the place in their, youth leagues, because he is involved in the youth leagues, helping these kids build themselves up to become the high school players. So he really does have an outsized, influence on
nice throw on the run from Houghton.
Yeah, I mean, to just echo the legend of Shap, right? I'm a guy, I did not go to Mamaroneck. I did not live in Westchester. I'm from Long Island. I went to Iona College, sure. I, started working with LMC maybe, my sophomore year. So I came in a suit to talk to Rob, and he laughed at me. It was aggressively mean, but that's fine. And I know what Shap means to the kids and the parents there and the programs there. And I remember that guy's name. Here I am getting older, losing my hair like all the rest of you. And, living down in Charlotte, North Carolina, interacting with the Mamaroneck programs for what, 3 to 4 years, Rob?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I'll remember that guy's name forever. That's a guy who puts his mark on you, and for all the right reasons at every turn.
So I suppose it's no surprise to let you know that Bill Flato has a .68 ERA on the season.
That's a nice stat.
He is not giving up much of anything.
Strikes here.
Not very surprising at all.
A pretty good
back
pitcher.
To the top.
Pounding,
for the batter.
Pounding strikes.
First pitch from Flato.
He really
That's
is.
a strike, 0-1. And like we were talking about, the pace of this game has been.
Well, I mean, it's pretty crazy when you look at the Arlington.
You know, that's where I jinxed it. Sorry to cut you off, Steve. You just hear me say the pace of the game is quick.
Giving up
Blew it.
less than a run for every
9 innings later.
he pitches.
The appeal down to first, and the field umpire says he goes around. So Flato, in his last 5 pitches, has thrown 5 strikes and is a strike away from retiring the side here in the third.
A cloud of dust.
0-2 on the way.
I know they don't water the field like an MLB field, but I love every time anybody moves on this field. It's just a cloud of 90 feet and a cloud of dust here.
Flato has thrown 30.
It's very cinematic every time the catcher grabs it. You just see the dust cloud come out of the glove, like the guy's throwing 104.
Running from second and third, there's like a dust cloud around.
Varsity Sports.
I wonder if and I have no inside knowledge here, but I wonder if the catchers actually dust up the glove a little bit, just to make the pitcher feel like they're really dealing.
No, they don't. But it's just that dusty up the field. Even when they do wet it down, it gets very dusty very quickly. And there's the first hit.
Sends that one through the middle
for Mamaroneck from Orlevitz, who I believe went on to play at Franklin and Marshall. Is where my son is going to be playing.
When the bat stays in the zone longer, you have a much better chance.
One of your old classic shuck and ducks.
Solid contact.
He had his brother actually went to play at Johns Hopkins,
where you have to time it up perfectly.
Hey now.
And you're going to end up with lots of line drives when you swing.
Now, Steve, is that Marshall like the famous Marshall, like the We Are Marshall?
Franklin and Marshall.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
The second baseman.
John Marshall.
And they'll check in on Orlevitz at first, but with the bottom of the order here, Steve.
And Benjamin, some guy named Benjamin, Louis,
I think we will
Franklin,
see some
something like
ball,
that.
but with this being the first base runner,
he did some things way back in the day.
Sounds like a jerk.
Now Horton squares gets
now that's
it
a solid bunt.
Beautiful bunt. It forces.
I nailed it in the broadcast
play
too.
It over to first
Good job, me.
So that'll move Orlevitz to second.
You know, Shap, he's always got some,
off the bat of Miles Horton.
Something on it. There's always going to be some kind of, play on here. He's not just going to bunt them over, going to try to put pressure. That is, I mean, in all honesty, though, like that's one of Shap's big things is put pressure on that defense, make them make a play, and that's something that this Mamaroneck team from the time I started covering them in 2008, that's what they've always done, make the defense make the play, and they're obviously have gotten quite
double play out of,
good at it.
Out of action.
Yeah, and they very often don't have that like huge power presence in their lineup. But 1 through 9, when these guys put together a team that makes a big run, it's a team that puts the bat on the ball, puts the pressure on the defense, runs the bases well, and runs the bases aggressively.
And the other thing about Mike Schiaparelli teams is they don't think they're going to win a game. They know that they're going to win a game, right? Like this is Mike Schiaparelli teams
on the count
are and Mike Schiaparelli believes so strongly in his team, whether it's hockey, baseball, whatever, that they know that they're going to win this game. Now they might still lose the game, but while they're playing it, and even in the 13th inning of this game when it's not looking good, they knew they were going to win that game. There was no question in their minds. And there's something about that belief and that compete level that Shap brings to his team is part of why they're so good.
Walks in. 0-2 the count to Genovese.
Yeah, it's interesting, Seth.
Carlin, the catcher,
put the viewers in your shoes. If you tweeted out that Aaron Boone was bunting everybody over and putting on hit and runs every other play and squeezes and making weird, trying to put pressure on the defense, what would the response to your tweets be, and how mean would it be to Aaron Boone?
So it's not so much that it would be mean, but it's that advanced metrics say that by giving the opposing team an out, it's going to be harder for you to score. Now, I think at the major league level, that is sort of the caveat. At the high school level, it's not so much that, only because a lot of the times the defense will not be able to make that play.
Right. You're not giving them the out. They still got to make
it.
And
there's so many factors. It's not just, talent level and experience level. The field isn't as good.
Always difficult to leave.
No, there's a lot of
bad hops.
Difficulties. Yeah. Absolutely.
Not taking too deep.
Emerson Genovese is at the plate.
He almost got caught
right now. We're going to hear from him, obviously, later in the game. He went on to play college football, actually. Was a fantastic baseball player and basketball player. But ended up after
great 3-sport athlete during his time at Mamaroneck. Really was a star on all 3 teams.
Yep. And after going to Suffield Academy for a PG year, he went to the University of Rhode Island to play football.
And they'll do it again at 2-2.
A little bit
same year as those Summers players when they won the state championship in football. But unfortunately, Emerson just succumbed to his injuries a little too much, I think, and his playing career is over now. But he really was one of the best athletes that Mamaroneck High School has seen in several years. Football obviously is never a one-man game, but he nearly single-handedly beat Carmel in that playoff game where they went to the sectional championship against John J. East Fishkill.
Quite the at-bat from Genovese here.
I believe he's officially.
I always wonder what would happen if you could press pause on a moment in time right now. Like all 4 of us could Back to the Future Emerson Genovese right now and tell him what would happen in an hour and a half, an hour 45, what his reaction would be, and if the same thing would happen. You know what I mean?
It would probably be about the same reaction that happened when it happened, right?
Be just total chaos. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's that fallacy of the predetermined outcome
right.
really becomes dangerous in baseball more than almost any other sport. That was a ball. That ball was outside and high.
There's something about watching like the Little League. I'm a big Little League World Series guy. Like it's always so much fun to watch it. I used to watch it with my mom growing up. It was a lot of fun. But there's something just so frustrating about watching a sad 12-year-old get punched out on a pitch that's 4 feet outside, and you're like, dude, just give the kid a chance. You didn't even give him a shot here. It stinks.
You're right, because the pitchers in the Little League World Series are so overpowered already. Anyway.
Oh yeah, those kids are throwing what? The MLB. They average it out. It's like MLB 99, and the kid's like 45. He's got a mustache.
Kenny, I gotta tell you, when my son was watching these games, as a matter of fact, these games that he was commenting on, they were getting pitches just at the belly button, and they were being called a ball, and he's looking around like, man, it can be over my head and they're going to call it a strike, but that's because he was 10 years old at the time.
It's crazy.
I was reminded him, these aren't major league umps, these aren't minor league umps, these aren't even college umps. They're youth umps, and these guys are high school umps, and they do a really good job, frankly. There are some that aren't as good, and we get really frustrated, but they do a really stand-up job.
I don't know what kind of screwball jazz that last pitch was, but that thing moved weird.
Then the sacrifice, the strikeout to Genovese, and that leads us to
That's why this camera, that center field camera, it's so important for baseball.
It really is.
We could film the game only from up top, but you don't get the move, location. It's just such a good angle to see. I mean, it's really the kind of the perfect angle, even when the base runner's in the way.
Yeah, those last 2 punch outs, Steve's probably seething over.
So we move on to the top.
Now, Seth, you're so right about that angle. That's why it's going to be so frustrating in extra innings when we lose that angle. There's a fun story behind that.
Fun is a word for it, I suppose.
Well, camera guy did his job, changed the battery. Camera guy didn't do his job and press record.
I was going to say, at what point did his job stop?
No, he was still working out there. He just had no idea nothing was being recorded.
That's funny.
Coming into play here. With the way that this umpire is calling ball.
My dad is
pitcher
a hittable pitch. You
for Arlington is pitching at SUNY Oneonta. Now realize, or had a career at SUNY Oneonta. We have to realize all the seniors from this game have graduated now already, and then any juniors in this game would be potentially seniors in college now, unless of course they took a PG year or a gap year of some kind. Some players go to junior colleges and that slows down their progress towards a degree, but for the most part, these guys have all graduated or are graduating from college now.
Don't dive into first.
I know.
Does not get you there faster.
I don't know.
They did studies on this, right?
What that was. That wasn't a dive into first base. That was like a futile escape from like Jason Voorhees dive.
The hitter continues to be out there as Plato finds his zone again, 0-1.
Well, a little
The Bugs Bunny dive.
Yeah, and Steve, it's a good thing all these seniors have graduated and these juniors are now in their senior year of college, because I generally, and Rob and I talked about this on our last rewatch, I generally get in trouble for being too hard on the kids in high school. So I can now be hard on them because they're old enough for me to be hard on them, even though I'm making fun of them in their high school days, and I feel like that's okay.
Just don't give out your address.
No, it's fine. I'm in quarantine. Nobody, you're all in quarantine. You can't do nothing.
Kenny, if you recall, that was one of my favorite moments about the Lakeland game we did for Verizon.
Yes.
I said, I didn't even say the punter. I just said the punting has been atrocious. And frankly, through 5 punts, he had an average of 1.5 yards.
It was going backwards. They were going the wrong way.
Punted one ball backwards.
Yeah.
So I just simply described what I was seeing, and I immediately had the producer jumping down my throat saying, we are going to get calls from parents who cannot speak that negatively about high school players.
Oh, it was so phenomenal. Steve had time to call me and say, Ken, you're going to get a phone call, relax, I already talked to him, it's fine, which is never calming to hear a pre-call to the call you're going to get.
I probably shouldn't have warned you.
No, it's never helpful for anybody out there thinking, oh, I should call somebody and warn them that another call is coming about something much worse. Don't. It's not helpful.
That was Somer's title season when they won the state title in football, and they absolutely trounced Lakeland.
Oh yeah, they were like
didn't have a chance. And so when it gets to the fourth quarter of a game like that, you get a little loose,
get a little punchy.
Yeah, luckily we didn't have any lubricant in the press box I'm struggling for a Harry Carey or a why am I forgetting John Madden's partner?
I don't know if anybody could string together a John Madden sentence on purpose. I think it's something that happens when you're mid-asleep.
Oh, Summerall, yeah.
Pat Summerall. Guys, you weren't there for me. Come on. You're not that young. You know who Pat Summerall is.
Oh, Steve.
Oh, do you not know who Pat Summerall is?
Honestly, I know the name. I don't know anything else.
Wow. Well, that dates me.
So you started watching football when you were what, 20?
Actually, 14. Fantasy football. That's when it all came to pass.
Left and right, with Genovese playing a little.
I think I owe Rob money too, because he picked Tua going to the Dolphins or something.
To play out in left field anywhere else.
Yeah, this whole podcast thing. Yeah.
Might as well play on the track.
Well, but then there is the thinking, if you can get back, you might as well play shallow and let those.
Mark Barbary actually plays defensive line. Played
pitch on the way, swing and a miss.
Defensive line for Ithaca College.
Not in time. A close play down at first.
Yeah, we're looking at that.
It looked like Cosenza got his hand back in just in time.
Replay.
I don't know where the ball is because it's in dust. So
this dirt is plenty.
We don't have dust cam yet. We can't do anything about that.
There is a water source down there. I don't know why they don't water the field before every game. And at the fifth inning stretch or something. I don't know. Fourth inning.
Can I say, so far my favorite part of this rewatch is that every half inning there's a new parent behind behind home plate. It's somebody new. It's like they're trading out.
They want to see their kid hit. That's
why. Fair enough.
Now, Rob, were there parents, were there people up near you guys? Because that happened a lot when I used to do this. That parents would kind of come up because they wanted to listen to us call the game while they watched the game.
Not too many. There might have been one or two within earshot, but no one too close. I think the MSG Varsity camera, the News 12 Varsity camera, was relatively close to us. I actually feel like when I saw their video, when I saw the video of the walk-off at the end of the game, spoiler alert, I'm pretty sure I could hear Ken and Steve in the background a little bit.
Between Mamaroneck and Arlington, back for the bottom half of the fourth inning on LMC Varsity Sports in just a moment.
Smooth.
That's the same parent this time, Ken.
Here at Mamaroneck.
Yeah, but he's trading. You see, he's texting the next guy. He's like, "Okay, you're up. Where are you?
Your shift's coming up."
Yeah.
3-4 in the Mamaroneck lineup due up. It's Sommer, Matt, and Gross ready to hit for Mamaroneck.
That's an interesting swing.
to the first baseman, Barbieri. He'll flip to Garinger, who's covering. 1 pitch, 1 out in the bottom of the 4th.
Sommer out in front of that one. Seemed frustrated the moment he was even swinging.
Yeah.
Because he had no choice but to roll that over.
Interesting swing.
Yeah, I think it was a little change up or off-speed pitch. He was trying to hold up and just happened to hit the ball.
It's one thing I've never been able to do is pick up what type of pitch is being thrown.
You really need that center
not
field
feeling
angle.
Yeah.
If we had a monitor with a center field angle, that
So
might
it'll
be
be
something
Peter Matt,
that
the third
would be a
baseman,
leader
who's
to
the
pick
batter,
up.
and he'll take low.
For any of you that want that type of feature, you can make a donation to LMC Media.
Yeah, no, at Kenton-Reichman on Venmo.
Right,
No,
there
that's
you
not
go.
it. That's not it.
Just send
Hey,
him
the
1,000
van
and-
is just about ready. We're expecting delivery later this week or next week. We were supposed to have it ready for this season, but obviously things have slowed down in the business world. But we did a test with it today. It's ready to broadcast remotely from anywhere. We're just putting the finishing touches on it, and it's going to be delivered real soon. If we have a spring season, then it'll be ready. If not, then we'll definitely have it ready to roll for the fall.
Yeah, pretty solid, man. That's going to be really cool. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah, it's a fantastic upgrade, Rob. Really happy for you guys.
Fastball, changeup, and curve.
Perhaps when you graduate from
For those of you in the area, that's not just for sports. It's also, for community events, educational opportunities. We have a whole slew of certainly parades.
Arlington, Liam O'Leary.
A whole lot of things. We haven't even figured out everything we want to do with it yet, but a whole lot of possibilities opening up for us with this mobile broadcast van.
Woo!
2-2 rocket shot.
That's great.
Right, Adam. That's the Adam ball.
Quinn, who's able to
I was just about to say too that I think we've seen one hard hit ball the entire game so far, and then you get that one.
Yeah, that was a rocket. Kid's like,
at Arlington,
accidentally caught it. Cool.
Duck my glove up, it caught me.
He's like, I don't even need a glove.
Not to go to the majors as he was looking to be drafted in the first couple rounds. And even though
I do want to note if anyone's watching and you want to make a comment or ask us a question in the YouTube chat, it's being monitored, so fire away.
Well in the first part of the season.
Happy to help you become a little part of the broadcast here.
And Michigan won the Big Ten, yes.
Similar to the Matt Harvey story.
We had some fun questions in our hockey rewatch.
For a few years and
that was a good time. Steve, we did the what was it, the Mamaroneck Scarsdale game?
The semifinal, yeah, when they were down 2-0, came back to win 3-2.
And when you have Michigan calling, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's hard to say no to
that. Was a fun one. We lamented over, and Seth brought it up, that sometimes there's folks who poke around the camera and everybody's got to kind of maneuver their way around and
can't get him as Gross beats it out. It'll be
thanks, Steve, for making the call though. The umpire wasn't close enough.
Comes into play and certainly comes in handy when you
but we were talking about when we were rewatching that hockey game that there's that press box gets a little compact.
Yeah, there's nowhere to go there. At least at the baseball field, there's 360 degrees of opportunity to go stand somewhere else.
Yeah.
And wasn't able to.
Don't get me started on the press box.
Don't worry, Rob had to keep me quiet on the last one.
I will say this though, and obviously people get in the way and it can be frustrating, but as a view, like as a straight view when nobody's in the way, that's the best view we have anywhere in any of the that we film games. That is
Comics is a phenomenal arena.
It's a great, like, that is the most sort of TV friendly location we have in terms of being able to put cameras exactly where they should be, and it's
Seth. It's really just a problem of we're not there for every game, and so people get very comfortable with how much space there is when there's no broadcast team.
That one towards the middle.
When you show up with the camera and the camera operator and play-by-play and color commentary, it'd be nice to have a statistician there with us too. But forget it. I mean.
We were at most of the games this year. I think they only had 6 or 7 home dates. We were at 5 of them. So I think it's, people at least expected us to be there at least recently. That was well struck.
Will split the gap and head all the way to the wall, and Johnson is aboard with a lead-off double here in the top of the 5th, and Arlington is in business.
Beautiful shot from Johnson there on a first.
That was a beautiful shot. He roped that thing
into the left center field gap.
Ooh, that is just a loopy-doopy curveball, huh? Ooh, boy.
Johnson now 2 for 2.
How far do you think Aaron Judge could hit that one?
Of Arlington,
6.
How far can Aaron Judge hit a baseball?
Right.
So, I was doing Quinnipiac baseball way back when, and as my color guy used to say, you hang them, I'll bang them.
You'd expect to see some out of Arlington.
Yeah, that thing was smacked.
Hitter doesn't look like the bunting type.
So now I don't know where they are in their order here. Is that can't quite see his number. Number 21.
Fine line between success and failure as a pitcher.
Chipkin.
Matt Chipkin.
One pitch in the hitting zone.
So and we were talking about this earlier. Like, there's no question in anybody's mind that Chap would be bunting no matter who was hitting right now, right?
Just the first leadoff man that's
no question.
In this
right, absolutely.
0-0 game, 5th inning. You think this is going to be a 1-0 game right now? So
could literally be Pete Rose, and he would bunt. I think,
especially because he knows the opponent and he knows how talented they are. So scratching a run, we saw him bunt over in what was it, the 2nd or 3rd inning?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is, I mean, remember, like, this is not the first time Arlington Mamaroneck postseason. I don't know the exact year. I think it was 2010 or 2011 that they played a postseason game here, and it actually started to rain. There was a thunderstorm that day, downpour. They put the tarp on the field. The umpires decided the field was unplayable. Game over. Arlington won in 5 or 6 innings. And I think that was when they decided that every playoff game had to be played until its conclusion. But so
I think that was either 12 or 13 because I think I hired you for that.
Okay. Yeah, I remember. So
well, that was also that game was the reason Mamaroneck put in those higher foul poles down the lines. The name is leaving me, but one of Mamaroneck's players in that, I think, bottom of the 6th. Or maybe it was the bottom of the 7th. I can't remember how far they got.
Hit a ball
it was a ball that was called foul. And look, I don't know if it was fair or foul, but if there was a higher foul pole, I would have had a better idea.
Back at second, the throw is a little high.
Yeah, I remember people asking us, was it fair? Was it fair?
Safely, but
it was just too hard to tell.
That's you never want to be the game where they have to change the stadium.
Right.
You know.
And Kenny, as Mets fans, we know what they built City Field.
Would have had to
right.
with his arm
from
right
I mean,
field.
they had to change the stadium for him because they tried building that brown monster, whatever you want to call it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. All right, let's just move on. I got to tell you, Billy Flato's ability on a left-handed batter, be able to paint that outside corner with the off-speed pitch, really is truly impressive. I just regret that I never got the chance to see him play college football because he was such a good quarterback.
I remember I was on the call for one game. He had a beautiful afternoon. I forget who they were playing, but it was like a 60-yard pass or something down the sideline. He had a gun too. He could really let it rip.
Well, and talk about a gun, Kenny. You saw Andy Carlin there think about throwing down to second. One of my favorite things about Andy's game is he threw the ball probably 90, 92 miles an hour, and would do that. He would, like many catchers do,
on the first pitch of the
chase the runner down to first base, and after Andrew Sommer would get the out, he would toss it to go around the horn. He would start by throwing it to Andrew Carlin, and Carlin would take off Pecора's glove with the throw down to shortstop to get the around the horn started. It was an incredible display of velocity.
Fastball high.
Oh boy.
Throw down to second. Nobody there. It'll go into center field. Genovese backing up nicely. And
I'm just as surprised. How many years later? 5 years later, that nobody was there.
The entirety of this game.
Steve's talking about him throwing down. I'm like, okay, maybe he'll do it. I had no recollection that he did it. And then my brain needed a second, but luckily my 2015 brain was there to tell me nobody there.
Probably a missed sign on the part of the infield. Pitch out to
he put it in the air.
Genovese lines it up.
He loves that curveball, I'll tell you.
Yeah, well, it effectively draws fly balls, and that's a big center field. So, Emerson Genovese really helped out Flato in several games that season.
So,
I mean, you talk about the need to make some big pitches. Sommer with the play at first earlier in this inning, and then to be able to get that fly ball there. But you had, what was that, a leadoff double, and it goes for naught, and now, you get a leadoff play as well, a leadoff
29 of them for strikes.
Single there, and now these teams are putting some pressure on each other now.
Whereas Flato
now it's still both starting pitchers are in there, yeah? I think they're both in there through the 6th.
That's how I recall. I believe that's right.
Nambiar ripping a nice line drive into right field there, helping his own cause, sort of.
Yeah, little does he know, right?
He didn't know yet, yeah.
We'll talk about it after the game.
So was it really helping? Because they didn't score this
out here at the bottom of the 5th. The batter is Orgalevitz.
He tried to help.
Trying to. See, now this guy's trying to steal. He's doing everything.
So I happen to have the running score here, so I know exactly what happens in the play-by-play, and it's about to get really interesting in what Shap tries to pull off with Kumar on the bases.
Of course it is.
I think he's relying on the
now, I'm thinking back, and I think 3, maybe 4 years prior, we were doing a playoff baseball game at Mamaroneck, and
you would hope
it would have had to go back if it was.
I think we broadcasted Kumar's varsity debut without knowing it.
Oh, really?
He simply entered as a pinch runner in a blowout.
It's 0-1. Nambiar leads off first.
Well, you know how Lou Gehrig's consecutive games played streak began.
Right.
He was not a starter in that game.
Quickly.
So, and then the next day, Wally Pipp got his headache, and the rest is history.
Mamaroneck hits this afternoon.
Very upsetting history, actually.
Another Mamaroneck baseball inside.
It was great before it was upsetting.
Yeah, it was great before it was very not great.
Stay alive there.
Right.
Despite the fact that Nambiar had thrown over 100 pitches in their
so now what happens here, I think, is Kumar's trying for second.
Could be called on to close this game out
repeatedly
on the situation.
And so Orgalevitz is going to ground out, but they're not going to be able to get the runner at second.
For Arlington,
and then this is where it gets
interesting. Out all the
interesting.
Stops, so Mamaroneck will as well to try and close things out here.
Over and
with
then,
the sectional final being
trying to jar my memory. I can't, of course, did we get a nice view of this?
I'll tell you because
for the next couple of pitches.
Spoiler alert, it's a comebacker right here to the pitcher.
On May 30th at 6 p.m. at Provident Bank.
God, spoiler.
Orgalevitz on the ground, and that'll
because Kumar was moving so quickly, and because the ball died on the grass,
Orgalevitz retired for the first out of the inning.
As you point out in the broadcast, Kenny, he's not able to get the advanced runner.
The 3rd inning,
and now
one out and a runner on second.
Was there one out and runner on second?
There was nobody out in the 3rd. But this time with 1 out, it'll be
see some interesting fireworks, if you will.
Are you making me nervous? I'm nervous.
The fact that you don't remember makes it that much better.
I know. I'm scared.
I'm watching my seat as well.
There's only 1 out.
Okay, so we got 1 down, runner on second, no score, bottom 5.
Right.
Are we at the bottom of the order here, Rob, or are we near? Or are we at the top?
I think we're near the bottom.
We're right in the middle right now.
Those of you that want to expand our budget.
Steve's always begging for cash.
He's begging for cash for the company, so I can't complain.
He's begging for cash in 2015. He asked for donations again today.
I know how hard it is to raise funds, guys.
Either way, that's a conversation.
You don't have to convince me.
Fundraising is a very difficult endeavor, and I do not envy those that have to do it.
Oh, there he goes.
Nambiar going to 3rd, and he'll take it without a throw. So Kumar Nambiar able
to
throw. Oh, yeah, now I remember.
Why didn't he throw?
An obstruction play, and he will score.
You don't want to risk
an obstruction play at 3rd, called by the field umpire. Right? The Arlington coach out of the dugout to have a quick word with the field umpire.
I didn't put the run up. It's coming back.
Score
right
on a stolen base of 3rd.
What was the call there? Was it a balk?
It looked like a fake swipe tag.
No, I think because he didn't have the ball and he tried to, but he didn't touch it.
Allow Nambiar to come around and score on, and
they called interference.
Yes, it puts Mamaroneck up,
but I think you have to either be in his way or something, right?
I think there's something about if you fake the catch in high school baseball,
at work, knowing
it is
all the rules inside and
interference. I'm not sure what they call it, but you're duping the guy into making an athletic move that he wouldn't have to make if the ball wasn't there, and could cause an injury. Now, I think what they're discussing here is that it was so nonchalant and so not really a part of
it was a fake
the action.
Swipe tag. That
did happen.
I
mean, we saw the replay.
Does that count as obstruction?
I'm glad they take it off here.
No, that would have been a bad way for for the run to score, of course. Again, the fallacy of the predetermined outcome. Who's to say, would Arlington have been able to scratch a run in the first 7 innings, knowing they were down 1-0 instead of tied 0-0?
Pick up the fact that
But you know what, though? Good job by the umpires here to get together, because we see tons of times a call like this, and this is a call that could decide the game. And you see a lot of times the umpire do not get together.
Seth, and that's a great point, because with Schiaparelli especially, he knows all the rules backwards and forwards, and you know the umps are somewhat intimidated and nervous that they're going to make a call that he's going to correct them on, and then they're going to look foolish, and they don't want to do that. So they knee-jerk reacted because Schiap was right there in his ear, saying that he shouldn't be allowed to do that, and he should be awarded home plate. And I mean, you know.
Yeah. Can we talk about how much Schiap looks like he's trying to play right now? Like he looks like he wants to pinch run himself.
Oh, if they let him, I'm sure he would.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is definitely.
I mean, and I also see what Schiap is arguing here, because the kid did sort of drag the glove down, and he does kind of swipe at him a little bit.
Yes, Seth, you're right.
He
did everything that would cause this call to be made. I think if I had to guess, because we're not down there listening to the ump explain to him,
in all this is
2-0. The swipe was made so far away from Kumar and didn't come into play at all in how he slid or when he slid or anything like that. Now, frankly, Kumar looked like he slid pretty late because the guy didn't have the ball, but then all of a sudden was making the swipe tag, which is the whole purpose of why that rule is there.
But also, he's going to slide regardless, most likely, even if...
I don't know about that, Seth. That's why, as I was saying it, I was thinking that slide was pretty late. I'm sure if I was thinking about reaching out to Kumar and seeing if he wanted to make a guest appearance on the show here, but if we got him on, I'm sure he would tell you that he wasn't going to slide because he saw that the catcher had the ball. But then all of a sudden he saw the third baseman faking that swipe, and that's why if we went back and looked at that slide again, it is very late.
So this is interesting because Schiap seemed super calm when he was talking to the crew chief for the home plate umpire, right?
He seemed that umpire very well. He's been umping Schiap for a decade.
Yeah, and they seemed like they came to an understanding that, okay, we're not gonna, we're gonna move this guy back, yada yada yada. And then they call him out of the dugout, and Schiap kind of like has some extra words for the third base umpire. So I'm wondering what the confusion or like maybe just
Ken,
maybe just a few
remember
words.
What happens now?
No, Steve, I'm old. There's been a lot of drinking in between then and now.
You're not old. I'm not going to tell you what happens because, we've got viewers that I'm sure have either not seen this game before.
Right. So I still am wondering. I want somebody to text Schiap and see why he was okay when the home plate umpire told him what was going to happen. Because I imagine the home plate umpire didn't lie to him, right? Like, there's no way the guy behind the plate was like, "Oh no, the run will count." And then he walked away and was like, "Okay, send him back to third. Hurry!"
But look,
Ken,
this is what I'm talking about. In a sectional playoff game, you're going to have 4 umpires, or at least 3. In any other game, Schiap's not going to have enough over at third base that he can get in that guy's ear. And so that's why so many people have a problem, if you will, with Coach Schiaparelli, is because he knows all the tricks. He knows how to do everything. He's been doing it for over 30 years. So he's going to play every angle that he can. My son's showcase coach was Mr. Baseball Westchester from Mayapack, and still to this day, he's had several Mamaroneck players in his program, hates Coach Schiaparelli. Now, he doesn't hate him like as a person,
right?
He just hates what he did to him because that big tree out in center field, he got a hit off that tree, ruled a ground rule double instead of a home run, and ended up costing them the sectional title. And we won't get too far into that whole story, but he got the catcher got called out for interference on the final play of the game as my son's coach was stealing second base. So it's still, he holds that grudge to this day because Schiap knew the rule, and he knew that the guy, and I mentioned it to Schiap recently, and he remembered it like it was yesterday.
Was that like 10 years? Was that like 10 years ago, or was that a long time ago?
That might have been while you were there, Seth.
I in his late 20s now. Against Mayapack, a playoff game ending in a very strange fashion.
That was it.
Being a major controversy. So yeah, no, I remember. Yeah, it was.
But really, I mean, think about it. What is that tree doing out there? Sure, it looks nice, but why is it there? It's only going to get in the way of anything. So here we go. Ready? Wait. Watch what's going to happen here.
To Houghton, who swings and misses at the first pitch back from the break. 2-1.
And I've got to say, I have no recollection of this entire controversy happening.
Good.
No, I think that might just be because of how the game developed after this. There were more memorable things that actually impacted it. Whoa, there you go.
Nambiar's in no man's land. He's tagged out by Zach Gow.
What's Shap doing out of the dugout there, too? You see him? You see him come walking out?
Talking going on between the two teams.
He called the suicide squeeze. Not a safety squeeze, a suicide squeeze. And then Gehringer threw the ball high and outside.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
Pitched out almost.
Yeah. Right. It was almost like a pitch out.
What a happy accident by Gehringer.
But that's what we mentioned earlier, right?
Oh yeah.
That's the kind of game that Shaq tries to play, not in a bad way, but just in a make the defense make a play. And credit to Arlington because they were able to make that play. But you know, they again, these two, I guess. Arlington and Mamaroneck have had long-standing games against each other, so they know each other pretty well, and they were able to figure out what Mamaroneck was going to be up to there.
Well, and Seth,
unfortunately now
to your point earlier about how Shap involves himself in the youth program and gets into, as Miles Houghton strikes out to end the inning, Schiaparelli gets to know the players and teaches them some of the tricks of the trade of what he gets his players to appreciate the rules and the intricacies of the rules. What we were talking about there when Nambiar got nailed stealing home, he turned. When you are, Shap's instruction is when you are caught, and going to be tagged out, if you can turn into a guy that doesn't have the ball and run into him, it automatically becomes runner's interference, and you get awarded the next base. So Nambiar turned and made contact with the third baseman there, and then went to the ground. Unfortunately, not enough contact for it to be called.
Right, and you see him asking for it too, so that's
plenty of
yeah, and I think the third baseman was way outside the baseline too.
Oh, he was, yeah. Probably because he was a senior and he knows that Schiaparelli tries to do that kind of stuff, and he wasn't going to get in the way of the play.
Squeeze attempt and the force out, and it looks like Arlington.
I'd have so many different feelings if I was like a Mamaroneck fan and that inning took place. Like you like equate it to like, this is a big game, right? Game 5 of the NLDS or something, right? And I don't know, pick your least favorite Met who's an idiot who gets, like steals third and you're like, wow, great job. I don't know. I don't even know who's great job, Pete Alonso. And then like next play, he gets caught like in a rundown between third and home because he's trying to run into a defender, and I'm like, what is even going on out there?
But Ken, to your point, right? This is a Mamaroneck team that is good enough to win a state title. Obviously, you are fighting for a state title, a senior-laden group. Your last chance to do it with this core. And you have a moment like that in the 5th inning, right? So you're 6 outs away from moving on, and it gets called back. And now you have to refocus, right? Now you have a runner on second base. You got to refocus your entire team because you're still in this game right now, right? So it's now you've got to make sure that you're kind of on the straight and narrow so that you don't go off kilter.
Yeah, for that to happen within 3 pitches, right, to go from stealing third to be awarded home to be sent back to be caught with a suicide squeeze in 3 pitches in a tie game in the 5th inning of a seven inning game, which can send you moving on.
Semifinal.
Right, it's a lot. It's a lot, and I could imagine for how old are these kids, right? They're not, they're not 23, 24, 25, in their rookie seasons in the major leagues. They're kids, that's what these, that's what these games are, and to be able to refocus and go out there. Not only to refocus that time, but then to refocus again, like 2 hours later, when it's about to, rain harder than you've ever seen before, and you're scared the cloud is going to eat your parents. Like it's horrifying. It's incredible.
What is it? The Hotels.com commercial where it's the guy's Captain Obvious and he's got the jacket.
Yes.
We've got to get you that jacket for that last comment you made about the fact that they're not 24.
I nailed it.
I think they are not 24 in high school. That's pretty
Tell me I'm wrong, Steve. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Challenge me on that one.
Where's the paperwork? Another interesting point to bring up too, especially as this game gets later, is how different this dynamic would have been if this game was played under today's rules, because now the sectional semifinals and finals are a double elimination bracket.
And back and forth we go.
Interesting.
So yeah, you want to win the game, but you're not done if you lose.
Well, so you say that, and you wonder how much differently they handle Kumar Nambiar later, right? Does he go all the way? Do you give it everything you've got to win game one, and then maybe, maybe game two doesn't go your way, and then game three you can make it happen, right? Or do you give him maybe 1 or 2 innings, he gets his night rest or his day rest or whatever the loophole is where they can make a kid throw 400 pitches in 2 days, and then go win 2 games in a row? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
The runner, La Barbara.
Now we have a runner at third with 2 outs
on the play. Or sorry, Schweitzer.
There's been a lot of ducks on the pond recently. I think that's overlooked in this game.
Yeah. This game got very intense. The first 4 innings, they're kind of feeling each other out, and now they're just throwing haymakers at it.
Yeah.
Well, and Seth, to think about that, it goes another 7 innings. I remember how tense it felt. All of these opportunities that really are not true. It's not like they had second and third and 1 out. It's not like they had the bases loaded and had to get out of that jam. But every situation, now knowing the final score, it's just incredible. The pressure, as Ken was talking about, these guys are not 23, 20. So yeah, the pressure that they're enduring, it's just amazing.
Steve, that's a great point. They are not 23.
Right.
Takes the ball high.
So Ken and Steve, I'll ask you, like, at what point, as you guys are calling this game, did you realize we have a special game here?
Well,
I think we're there.
Yeah,
I mean, Steve, you speak for yourself.
I think it was right around when Kumar got nailed at home. That was when I really felt like, okay, that was Shap trying to pull his Shap stuff. It didn't work. Is that going to backfire? Is it going to blow up in some other way? And beyond that, we already knew that this is the 2 and the 3 seed. So we knew that this was going to be a top-notch battle, and we knew that Arlington had a lot of top players. As I mentioned, I think 16 of them went on to play collegiate sports. So obviously it's going to be a tough matchup.
Yeah, it's Seth, like, I'm an atmosphere guy, which is why I love Homix. Like, it's so much fun to watch a game there when people care. But, like, you can even hear it on the broadcast now. Like, people are into it now. Like, coaches are into it, parents are into it.
It was a great crowd, Kenny, too.
Yeah, and maybe high school parents should be given a perimeter of how close they can get to the field or the rink, whatever it is. And I would petition for that for the rest of my life. However, them being like, baseball is such an intimate experience as opposed to other sports, right, where they really are just like right on top of everybody. Umpires can hear every word you're saying about them behind the plate. Other coaches can hear everything, right? There's not, they're not pumping in music. They're not really jamming the place up. Like, everybody can hear what you're saying, and the players can hear what each other is saying. You can, and there's Steve telling the drama is sky high, right? Like, you can feel it there. You really, really can.
It was a 3-1 count there. It's now 3-2.
Swing and a miss, and he gets him.
Look out.
That's the last batter he faces, too. And I think for me, that was when, for me, it really kicked in for me as I was standing right next to those, to Ken and Steve, operating a camera, when I knew the game was special, was when Kumar came in out of the bullpen. Like, well, okay, we're blowing up the plan. And it's going down right now.
And the other thing too about the way that Plato was really working the upper half of that
type hitter. Bats for average, makes
strike zone where, like, he was blowing, even in that 6th inning, right? He's blowing balls past guys. I mean, that was, you talk about gutsy games and gutsy experiences.
There we go.
You've got your season on the line, and you're blowing fastballs by guys.
And can I just pay a quick compliment to Emerson Genovese here? I'm not really sure,
shortstop range is over, throws,
as he grounds out to the shortstop, I'm not really sure where he was in the batting order, but you might have heard me say he is your prototypical leadoff hitter. So it's very possible he was the leadoff hitter. He's a 3-year starter on varsity baseball. This is his senior season. He's the center fielder and the fastest player on the team. Marquez Jackson Allen definitely Kessie could probably give him a run for his money as far as flat-out speed, but the two of them together are definitely the two fastest players on the team. And he had to basically bat last in the order, which creates sort of a second leadoff situation. You're just getting one less at bat. He needed to shake things up. He felt that Carlin needed to be in the leadoff spot. I'm guessing he didn't have Genovese batting fifth prior to that. I can't recall. But knowing Shap as I do, he likes to bounce it around. And so for Genovese to swallow his pride, if you will, and in his final season of high school sports, he'd already had his football season, already had his basketball season, to now be dropped down A-Rod style to the bottom of the order. It takes a lot of mental fortitude to stay with it, and he ends up getting rewarded in spades.
But you got to get there.
It's a 3-0.
And I'm sure there were plenty of communications between Shap and him as well. To sort of, hey, this is why we're doing this. This is why we think it makes sense.
At least until you get one.
Yeah, but you're assuming that he understood Shap when he spoke to him.
Well, he definitely
we now know that Shap is well aware of the fact that everyone thinks he speaks Japanese. I've known him now for well over 10 years, and I finally have a good understanding of what he's saying. And actually, he is very articulate. You just need to listen to it.
I don't know if this
and he speaks very quickly. Nice shot there by Carlin. Unfortunately, it goes for naught.
And settles under it is Johnson.
That was a trip watching that guy track that fly ball.
For the second out of the inning. A little bit of excitement there for the Tigers, but it ends up nothing more than a long out. Christian Johnson actually
now we get a runner here out of Sommer,
8 for 9
who, you'd think he batting in the two spot. He's again, this is the thing, I don't have enough memory of what the batting order was like, but
he didn't keep your
Carlin
scorecard.
looks like your classic 3-hitter. Sommer looks like your classic 4. Frankly, I would have had Peter Matt in the 2.
I think, Steve, I think they were lined up like that earlier in the year, and I think we're seeing the product of the shakeup
but
now.
Then there is also the idea that Carlin,
right, exactly, and so you have a big.
I think Peter Matt was batting 3rd or 4th in this lineup.
Right. And so you have a big bopper like Andrew Sommer batting in the 2 spot,
and he tried to take advantage of that.
3rd in this inning, and he comes up and lays down a punt.
It's a pretty one.
Safe at first base. The speed of Peter Matt able to beat out that.
Yeah, Steve making the call before the umpire there was like
A+. Tigers are in business with a bunt single.
It's Andrew Sommer who reaches.
Apologies to Andrew Sommer for calling him Peter Matt there.
Andrew Sommer. Their build is so
kind
similar.
Of a compliment.
I guess Sommer making the call too is. Everybody's making the call. Who needs the umpire?
The guy who's paid to make the call.
Yeah, who needs that guy?
And one more point that I did come across recently about Peter Matt while he steps up to the plate. I saw a stat come out the other day from UPenn on Twitter that when the season was suspended, he was leading the Ivy League in hits and batting average.
But you try and swipe a bag.
Yeah, definitely someone who's talent translated well to the next level.
7-3-4-5, meet your order.
Yeah, he'll find a spot somewhere.
You have a runner in scoring position with 2 out for your
it's just the reality of it is, if he got into the top 5 rounds, that means real money.
That's over the center fielder's head. Oh, and he gets there in time for the 3rd out of the inning. A long fly
Man, he put that around 385.
But the inning is
it's so rare that you see a center fielder go back into that track rubber and have not bad things happen.
In just a moment on
LMC you never see a ball hit their period, really. I mean, that was a shot. That was
back at the top of the 7th inning. An interesting.
We also had a shot of the infamous center field cameraman there, who soon will have replaced his battery.
Gets there, has taken the
I think it was after the 8th or 9th.
And the first pitch.
There he is, the star of the show.
Ryan Quinn.
I'm not sure if you can see it on your screens, but also in the bullpen, still throwing for Mamaroneck is Billy Flato. And you are allowed to re-enter a pitcher, but on re-entry, he's not allowed to throw any warm-up pitches on the mound. So
that's fascinating. That must have been a Rob stat, because I definitely.
Oh yeah, I definitely figured that between innings because I've seen it happen. I saw Shappy do it in a playoff game. I think Seth, you might have been there back when we were in high school. Technically, a kid came in and saved his own game.
He's still got plenty of juice left, or you would assume he still has plenty of juice left.
Well, and the thing that amazes me, I mentioned it several times. He continues to throw in the pen for a while.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid. Is the word I'm going to go with. but I'm not quite understanding.
Swing and a miss for
Why?
Nambiar.
Because he wanted to save Kumar for the sectional championship.
And that's the first out.
And so if things
right, but at what point, now that you're the home team, right? You're in the 7th inning, so you score, you win, right? So at what point do you want to save Nambiar to put Flato back in if you didn't win the inning before? You know what I mean?
Maybe if
clearly that point never comes.
Right. Well, it's obviously the only explanation is that it's a gut feel that Shap would have that, you know what, maybe Kumar didn't have it. Remember, he pitched how many? We talked about it in the postgame. He pitched 110 in the previous.
Yeah, he went about sounds about right, about 110 in the previous round, just 2 or 3 days prior. So
and then he pitched what?
110 pitches 2 or 3 days prior. I just want people to hear that out loud. That's bananas.
But also, I mean, you gotta figure. So if you think maybe Nambiar might struggle, and if he gets guys on base, or if he gives up a run, and you need the fire to be put out, Flato was still gassing guys in that, sixth inning. He still had room to go if they needed him. So
now I wonder if Flato's pitch count was going to hinder him, or if that was already gone. You know what I mean, Rob? Do you have any recollection of that? Like, was Flato?
No, his pitch count, I don't have a number, but I don't even think he eclipsed 100. There we go. So he would have been fine to pitch more.
The ball around the horn, but I think Peter Matt said,
and then
let's just focus on the
and I think Flato did come in and pitch relief in the section championship game before Kumar came in.
Okay, so I suppose it makes sense that you'd pull him now. You could save him depending on his pitch count, right, which is 76 according to Steve. So you could potentially save him for game 2 or the next game to come in for an inning or so, depending on the rules that I don't know.
And I believe that
well, at this stage of the game, there weren't any rules.
Getting loose.
Wow. Rob, what is it, like Mad Max out there?
Well, as far as pitch count is concerned, this was pre-pitch count limit.
Okay, so this is just it is Wild Wild West with Will Smith, is what you're saying.
Is it that bad?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm happy you got that. That was good.
1-1.
Hopefully no more.
Hopefully Will's not watching.
I'd be honored if he was.
Exactly.
I do remember, I just said it in the game too, that my biggest concern was that I was out of room on my scorecard.
You should be very concerned.
I
think I had to turn the page, everything got all confused.
No balls.
You know, I had that scorecard in the office for a while because I was using it when I was editing the game together, and there was a big, like, I don't know, circle or star, and the words in capital that said "Yay" right across.
Simon Alvarez.
That's been a strike for a good portion of the day.
I used to use those same scorecards at Yas before I actually got a book. And what I would always do was I would have to make the scorecard double-sided. That way, just in case the game went into the 11th inning, I had an extra sheet. So I was always, and if I made it double-sided, we wouldn't go to extra innings. And if I didn't make it double-sided, it was always going to extra innings.
Yeah, you needed 3 pages, right?
Right, there was always that thing that was going on. So I'm not superstitious. I'm just saying.
Yeah, right. Not at all. Not at all.
I mean, that can apply to anything. I mean, just, you know, from filming these games, the -- 1 rule is, you know, if I look in the forecast and there's anything higher than a 0% chance of rain, I'm giving everyone rain covers for their cameras. Because if I don't, it's going to pour.
Mamaroneck Tigers as Andrew Gross, the left fielder, strides.
By the way, some stats on Kumar. He started his Yale career as a freshman. He went 1-4 with a 7.71 ERA. He really got tattooed in his first year of college ball, but he was 4-1 sophomore year, 5-2 his junior year, 4-1 again.
Infield single in his last
in his Mystic summer, where he played in the Cape Cod League. Had a 1.85 ERA in the Cape Cod League, which is really something else. Playing for Mystic, and then finished his Yale career 3-2 with a 3.90. And then he pitched in high A ball for Stockton last year.
He's in the athletic system, right?
Yes, exactly.
Ball 3, and the catcher walks
Only the
Isn't that wild, though?
American ever drafted in the major leagues. The first one was in the same draft, earlier in the same draft.
Oh, wow.
To the crowd and
it's
to start
Go ahead, Ken.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it's pretty crazy how you can go from like being a big fish in a small pond, right? Mamaroneck, which is a great program, and a lot of great athletes come through it and go on to do amazing thing in college ball and onward. But Nambiar was obviously he's a step, right? And you go from being that guy, right, who come in, throw 150 pitches in 2 hours and strike out 45. And then you go to Yale, and the first year you get shell shocked, like you're on the beaches of Normandy. It's a very different experience.
What I was going to say about him too was he's in the A system right now, but you really wonder what's going to happen to his season, because the minor leagues are talking about they may not play at all this season, and obviously some of the AAA guys are going to end up staying up with the big league team. But for a guy like that who's in high A, rookie league, whatever case, where are they going to play? How are they going to play baseball this year if there is an MLB season even? So I certainly hope that everything goes out okay here. But we got a duck on the pond now, bottom of the 7th inning. We're in the walk-off portion of this game. So all of a sudden it's getting pretty tense out there.
Well, and so Seth, they turned from Gehringer to Evan Klein, which we should probably mention for those viewers out there that don't know. Evan Kleingans is the person who he actually died in a canoe accident on the Hudson River. His canoe with 2 other people capsized, and somehow the other 2 were able to get to shore. He unfortunately was not wearing his life vest and drowned. And he actually had pitched some college baseball himself.
I believe he just said that just this last week at a commencement speech that I am proof that C students can become president of the United States.
Wow. Oh,
so they
Steve.
do move the pitchers.
Ooh, we're getting political here.
And
little did we know.
Little did we know. 26.
Yeah, what was I saying there? I am proof that what?
C students can become president of the United States, and little did we know that that's.
I think we're gonna step out.
Something we'd be looking for.
Just a moment
so,
man, wouldn't we love to come back to Bush?
Oh dear, oh dear. We're a nonpartisan show, I think.
No, he's doing a great job.
In the bottom of the 7th inning, Evan Kleingans comes in for the
here is
relief of
Kleingans pitching to
core of the batter. At the very least, you've got to put the ball in the ground.
All right, so Rob, I have a camera question for you. We see now this camera guy with the handheld camera is BJ. Great guy, and we're going to see him on camera a little bit later. Did he stay down there for the rest of this game?
He did, and I told him he could go back and forth when there's a non-walk-off scenario, but he wanted to stay there. I honestly wish he had gone back and forth, because like once I lost that center field camera, this was a rough edge. Because when you're shooting through the fence down there, you're only usable about 10% of the time.
Right.
And obviously it's not quite level.
Now, it's something that Kleingans has probably been told.
BJ was good though. He was one of the better high school kid camera guys we've ever actually had here. He was really good.
Yeah, and he would come back, when he was in college during breaks and do some great work for us, and worked a lot after he was done with college before he got some regular full-time work. We haven't seen him in a while. We miss him.
And now at the plate is the pitcher.
And I think he's doing well. I don't know if I think he's joining, trying to get some union work. I don't want to.
Now we have, sorry to cut you off there, Rob. Yeah. We have 2 on and no out in the bottom of the 7th inning.
I'm mad that this game doesn't end here.
I really think
I was mad at the time the game didn't end right here.
Kumar at the plate, Orgalevich on deck.
I mean, these guys are ready to go home. You see that bench? They're all like at the door of the dugout, ready to.
And Shap's got something up his sleeve. Double steal, bunt, squeeze, something's about to happen here.
That shortstop was blazing over to third base.
Yeah, well, you saw he was squaring to bunt right there and move the runners over. Like you said, Seth, like that's the action. Make them make a play, throw the ball away, and all of a sudden the guy's home.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure is what he was thinking.
And see, I like that call there. He pulls the bunt back after the first pitch, thinking, all right, I don't want to walk this guy. Let me give him, if he's giving me an out, let me take the out. You might you can
definitely quintessentially.
Yeah, so
now it's 2-0. Now I'm even more upset this game doesn't end, because now it's 2-0 with first and second, nobody out in the bottom of the 7th.
And the question is, do you still want to bunt with a 2-0 count?
I don't. I never want to bunt though, Seth. I'm the wrong guy.
And so, because you've said that,
oh gosh,
now I forgot about the fake back to second.
The runner at second, Gross.
I mean, the runner's roly-poly-olying back into second base down there.
They wanted to balk there.
To try
That's
and
Andrew Gross that went to Richmond.
How was that not a balk? That's a phenomenal question.
I think it could have also been interference.
He turned towards the runner. He's allowed to do that.
Yeah, but it looked like they collided.
Especially if you're Mamaroneck.
Which I'm sure that's
right. So he's asking for interference on the shortstop.
Yeah, I'm surprised not everybody on the field is just running into people on purpose at this point. Now that I've seen 7 more innings of this,
all of a sudden it's a hockey game.
Over to the pitcher. Yeah. Under the guise of a
that's what Shaq wanted there, though, is the shortstop runs into the base runner, and
he definitely does.
Could have made that call.
Ground ball back at the pitcher. He throws to second and gets him at first for the double play.
That's a close play there at first.
Nambiar nailed in the.
So now that leaves Gross on third base with 2 outs.
There are 2
See,
outs.
here's the part of the annoying thing. Number one, that's a phenomenal turn by that shortstop. That's an impressive play.
On the ground, it looked like.
Second off, if I'm Gross, which I am, but if I'm that guy, Gross,
was gonna give
I'm just going. Like I'm just, it's either you turn the triple play and we move on, or we win. Like I'm just gonna go.
Well, and that's how, Rob, you might remember, that's how Michael DeVito and Max McLaughlin.
With the drive to right field, caught.
Right. Yeah, I do remember.
Just this season, they had a similar play where he was running from second.
Yeah, it was just an RBI ground out from second base. He scored. Yeah.
Instead, we go to extra.
It was a nice swing by Orgalevitz there. Unfortunately,
yeah, he put a good charge into it.
Bonus Contos, free baseball coming up.
Yeah, free baseball. There we go. That's my least favorite phrase in the whole world, and I just said it.
Baseball was free.
Yeah, or extra free.
Right. This is public schools, actually.
It's public television also.
That's the right point. Is not only is it free baseball, it was free baseball to begin with, and it's on public television.
It's the freest baseball could be.
So Nambiar will stay on to pitch the 8th, and
it was any freer they'd be paying you to watch it, which I was.
Which you were.
With that one, you'd assume that he can't go much
How about this?
This is incredible.
He's thrown 16 so far.
So you just hear me say, so I mentioned at the top of the broadcast that I'm going to spend the next 2 hours telling you how many pitches Nambiar throws. I just mentioned in the top of the 8th, please notice the inning for the first time that Nambiar should probably only be throwing between 20 and 30 pitches.
Seen 4 batters. He's got 4 strikeouts.
I just want to, we could start a tally. I should donate to charity every time I mention his pitch count for the rest of the afternoon.
So they pinch hit Gehringer back in for Kleingans. Obviously, Gehringer's the better hitter of the two, so they bring him back in.
I do love how in high school and Little League, and, all through that
Nambiar gets it by him.
Time of ball, you look down to the third base coach in between every pitch, and the guy's just hit it. I don't know.
Right.
Just do the thing that you're supposed to do. I don't know.
Let's go. Give it a rip.
Yeah,
one
of my old baseball coaches, who was a fascinating individual. I hope all is well. Eddie. He used to, at every pitch, he used to just say something like, only if it looks like Carmen Electra, only if it's sexy, every time, every pitch. That's all he did. That's all he'd say.
Well, I remember being told by coaches, you look at me after every pitch, because if you miss a sign, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't want you looking only on certain plays.
Right. Fundamentals, I get it. I'm with you. The fundies are important. But you get pinch hit for in the top of the 8th at a tie game 0-0. They're not telling you to
swings and misses.
Not swing. That's why you're there.
Fooled in the box, making them look silly.
These guys aren't even making contact already.
No, this guy goes off for the next couple innings.
How fast is his fastball here? Because it feels fast watching it.
Yeah, I remember being reported he was high 80s.
Right. Well, I'll tell you that his father liked to claim that he only pitched around 80.
Nambiar
is one of the tougher critics you're going to meet as far as a baseball father. So
you see how quick that batter got started to try and catch up to that pitch?
I'm saying I'm sorry, that's not 80.
No.
There's no way.
No.
It's funny. I remember watching.
So bottom of the eighth,
I remember watching when Ryan Pinnell was at Ryan, he was throwing the bullpen, and I was standing next to the bullpen, where he was, and you could hear the ball whizzing. You could hear as the ball goes past you. It was, and that's what kind of Nambiar reminds me of here a bit, because he's got some gas.
Interesting game.
2-0 catches the corner.
And the interesting thing about Kumar Nambiar, and I think it speaks to the fact they ended up at Yale in the first place, was he did a research paper in high school on pitching mechanics and used the research to refine his mechanics.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
Nice play from Schweitzer. He definitely knew.
Not to toot the horn here, but there was a great pitching discussion on Yes last night between Garrett Cole and David Cohn, because those are two baseball savants, guys who really kind of know the mechanics, and they're just talking about how they do it. And it's fun watching high-level pitching like we're watching here, and also watching that high-level pitching. The one thing I'm taking note of is Nambiar's throwing a lot of strikes, not a lot of balls. And one thing that Cole said in that conversation last night, or that was aired last night, sometimes you don't want to throw a strike on every pitch. Sometimes you actually want to miss. You want to throw some balls just to kind of keep the batter.
Well, he's got such fantastic command, Nambiar does, and this is high school ball. So, yes, that definitely applies, Seth. But when you can paint the corners with a pitch that looks like a ball to a lot of these guys and drop it in for a strike, that can be even more effective, especially when you have to economize because you just threw 100 some odd pitches in the previous outing.
And I remember the thing that really separated Kumar and Billy Flato apart from their peers was that they could throw strikes with their breaking ball. Not a lot of guys at this level can do that.
And it no longer becomes who's going to pitch on Saturday. It becomes
the other thing I've noticed is we've lost the center field camera.
Oh, you noticed, did you?
Swinging there.
And try and go back to Flato.
Carlin is up with 2 outs.
That's a fun shot. I kind of like that. That was pretty cinematic.
Yeah, Carlin is on top of the pitchers all game long here.
He doubled twice on Saturday. Today, he's 0 for 3. Struck out twice.
Camera guy's just waiting to run onto the field.
Yes.
You have to wait a while.
Takes that one up and away.
Little did he know. Little did he know.
1-1. The pitcher, Kleingans, took over for Geringer last inning in a bit of a jam and was able to work out of it. That one bounces on the plate. 2-1. You'd love to get this.
Tried to get Carlin out in front on that one, but it worked to Carlin's advantage. He's got a hitter's count now.
You'd love to get this to Sommer and possibly Peter Matt in this inning. Chance to win it.
Chance to win it.
Time called.
So many chances to win it.
Yeah.
And so they'll reset and do it again. Almost a dangerous time out there with Kleingans already in his motion.
I'm really out there just trying to protect the pitchers.
High now, 3-1, and Carlin a chance to do some damage.
Protect them from what?
Like
themselves,
said, Steve, a big-time hitter's count here.
Yes.
3-1 coming.
And I think if you ask Shap, do you want to save Nambiar for the next game? Do you want to? You got to win this game first. You got to win the game that's in front of you right now. And I think one thing we saw about how Shap managed this game was, listen, I can't take anything. It's a 0-0 game. We're in the 8th inning. I need to win this game, and I'll worry about the championship game when I.
More free baseball here at Manchester Field,
which is exactly what happened, and I do want to give
LMC Varsity
some credit. It was Jason Kranitz, who I believe went 4 1/3, 4 2/3, a senior who coming into this season was thought of as the guy who was going to be the number 2. And I think he had some injuries early in the season, worked his way back, and then he was kind of slotted in as that 3rd guy. And he really saved their bacon in that championship game against R.C. Ketchum. He really had to outslug them a bit. It was 8-6, but he got them to the point in the late innings where they could go with the limited bullets they had from Flato and Nambiar.
Deal with Saturday when it comes, if it comes.
Rob, back in 2009, we're at the state semifinals against Massapequa.
Oh, I remember this vividly.
And, I mean, this was an 11-inning classic game. We got to the 9th inning. I think Mamaroneck had the bases loaded in the 9th inning with 1 out. Sean Hagan lifts the fly ball to shallow center. It's not that deep. They can't. The guy on third is Taylor Monsheen. He tries racing home. He cannot get there in time. We go to the 10th. I think that game ended in the 11th inning.
First of all,
and
it was Saturday.
And Rob, you know, this
Sunday,
game,
Monday, Tuesday,
what in real time lasted about 3 hours. I think that game was about 4 hours, right? And state semifinal. And Rob, I distinctly remember in between the state semifinal after Mamaroneck won and the state final, we had to go to CVS to buy more tapes.
Yeah, this was before digital storage, so we had to go buy some more mini TVs.
Yep, we had to buy more mini DV tapes, and that was that state semifinal. And then they beat Clarence. I actually remember that state final. I'm announcing the game up in the top, and there's somebody behind me. Mamaroneck jumps out with 2 quick runs. And the person behind me just goes, these guys are like a big league team. They just never stop. It was 2 or 3, maybe even 4-0 in the top of the first inning.
He doesn't put too much stress on his throwing arm.
And it was on cruise control. But
he's got a great delivery.
Yeah, that was the other game that sort of, Rob, I hope there's still a DVD of that game around the LMC office. That was an 11 inning. As good as this game is, that game was even better. That game was one of the better baseball games I've.
Oh yeah, that game was nuts. We definitely still have it. I don't know if we're allowed to do a rewatch online of it, but it is a state championship game. But this one we can do.
Joe Asenza 0 for 2 on the day.
We like the games that we can do, huh?
The ones that won't get us sued or fined or anything of that nature.
Down the right field line.
Sometimes those are even better, though, Rob.
Even at 2-2.
Push the envelope.
You know, it's fun while it's happening, and then you regret it later.
So now, I mean, you can even see now. Whoa, well, there you go. I was gonna say, I feel like you can see that the weather is starting to turn a little bit.
Yeah, that pitch was a good couple inches outside there.
That you've read 100 times.
Right.
How could you tell from this angle, though? I don't know.
You can see where Carlin's glove was when he catches it.
That was not a strike.
Rob, you can just take an educated guess, and you'd know that was 3.5 feet off the plate.
He looks at called strike 1.
You know, it was crazy though, because like Rob, you remember some of these games, but when we first started doing sports in the fall of 08, beginning in the winter of 09, we had 3 straight state championship games. We had the field hockey, we had the hockey team go to the state final, losing the state final, baseball in 09 obviously winning, and then we had field hockey the following year. So we certainly got our fill of, you know, state tournament games.
Especially from that field hockey team. They've gone several times, and luckily they have won a couple of times after. I guess you're the bad luck charm, Seth, because they kept losing the state championship game with you at the helm.
So rather quickly we're back.
Nice.
So 1, 2, 3 for the next couple innings,
including what once in penalty strokes, which they don't even do anymore. They do a shootout.
One off the post. I think the one off the post to end it.
Settles under it for the first out of the inning.
So we're starting. Steve and I are starting to mention the weather. I think I, in all my wisdom, just gave the game a half hour before it started to rain.
Now, I also distinctly remember being at work on this day at the Yes Network, and I feel like the Yankees went into a rain delay while you guys were still. Because I remember texting Rob saying, "Hey, we just went into a rain delay, so be careful."
I remember Seth. I remember him telling me that.
Yeah. So I don't know if that was like the 11th inning or the 12th inning. It was somewhere in this area of the game though, where Rob, the Yankees are getting hit with a.
Oh, and we knew it was coming.
No, and it was not just rain, like it was a thunderstorm.
Well, but the thing, Seth, that you know that viewers wouldn't know is that with the aperture of the camera, you can open that wide up and make it look a lot brighter. At this time, Ken.
Yeah, these cameras are pretty opened up right now.
Yeah, it's really dark out.
It's dark. We were talking about how before the rain would be an issue, how not being able to see anything was going to be an issue.
Settle down. Put the ball in play.
I mean, I remember after the game, I'm pretty sure we had to walk through a torrential downpour to get back to the car.
We did. We did.
That's how close it was. Well, can you imagine if this game didn't end and we had to come back the next day?
This is the year that my son, they won the Westchester Little League Championship, and in the semifinal they were playing Ossining against one of the better pitchers in all of Section 1. He just won the Catholic League title for Fordham, Eric Yost, and Yost
and the very next pitch,
was pitching against us for Ossining, And my son was able to work out a walk, and then his teammate Kobe Mentor was able to double him home, and we tied up the score.
Good swing on that
and
one.
then the skies got so dark that they actually called the game.
Nice to the fielders all
and then we had to come back the next day and play. And of course, with pitching rules the way they are, they couldn't bring their stud back to pitch, and we ended up pounding them and winning that semifinal and going on to win the championship.
325 sign down the right field line.
So darkness can come into play all sorts of ways in school ball and school age ball. Because rarely are you playing under lights.
Yeah. And this might have been either the first year or the second year that they had decided all postseason games had to be played to the finish no matter what. So, obviously now that we're in extra innings, it was going to have to be restarted anyways. But there was a point. I mean, I think I told the story earlier about how there was a Mamaroneck playoff game that ended early because of rain. And they made sure that would not happen in the
pitch that has been called for a strike.
And I think that all really stemmed, if I'm remembering correctly, back in the 2008 World Series was when there was this movement in baseball to finish postseason games. There was the Phillies and Rays. I can't remember who won the game. I think it was the Phillies at a rain-shortened game in Philadelphia. And the Rays might have been possibly rallying, but the game got stopped and they just called it.
Gosh, what a terrible World Series.
Count is now full on Gross.
And that is now
I want to say that game was called in like the 5th or 6th inning too. Like it was early when the game was made.
Yeah, it was about as early as they could call it.
Yeah.
That's a great play. That guy's having a heck of a game, huh?
Nice stretch from Barbieri.
Schweitzer.
Get Gross at first base.
Goodness.
And that'll do it.
I mean,
here in
the
ninth
defense
inning.
in this game is outstanding.
Yeah, that kid's got an arm, huh? I mean, that's the second time he's made a strong throw to make a difficult play.
No, this is a high level high school baseball game.
No runs on 12 pitches.
Yeah, and Steve just mentioned it, the no errors thing. Like, a lot of high school games you see just that ends up in the dugout, runners on second, next play gets by the catcher. I don't think I've seen a pass ball in this game.
So here we go. It's top 10.
For whatever reason, the downstate teams always seem to be very good in this state. And to be honest, this feels like we're watching two of the top 5 teams in the entire state right now.
Yeah.
I think the results from the season will show that you are. It always does seem to be that the Dutchess schools, there's like 3 or 4 of the AA powerhouse Dutchess schools, and it seems like every year at least 2 of them are elite level like this. Obviously, this particular Arlington and RC Ketchum.
With the runner not going.
You say not seeing a pass ball, there's a drop there at strike.
The batter, Ryan Quinn, offers at the 0-2.
That's a tough pitch, though.
Oh, yeah.
Get out of the
well, I mean, geez,
talking about misplays there, that ball got past Carlin, but because the runner didn't think he swung, he didn't run, and so instead of it being a strikeout, runner on first on a drop third strike.
You got to wonder what the communication level there was between the umpire and the batter, right? Because if he's even explicitly saying, you swung, you got to run, you got to wonder if it maybe just wasn't there.
On 3 pitches from Kumar.
And now who's that up in the bullpen there? Steve, you should mention that on the broadcast.
Here in this game, so he is really in jeopardy.
That's still Flato, isn't it?
That's Flato.
That one catches the corner.
So the guy's now he's thrown 400 times today. He's been warming up for 3 innings.
Kumar.
So you wonder, that makes you wonder, like, what was the plan here, right? Like, if
that's what I'm saying. I don't know if I get it.
If a guy got on base, was Flato going to come back in?
I don't know.
I don't think so, because at the end of the day, I mean, when Arlington does score a run in this game later on, they kept him in.
Talk to the pitcher. He'll come back, probably wipe down the plate a little bit. Maybe tie his shoe.
No, so that's what I was saying a few innings ago, Seth. Like, I don't know if I understand. Maybe Flato's just in like a cool down period, right? Maybe he's, he threw a bunch. He's just trying to like relax himself instead of going from 100 to 0, right? Sure. But I don't know if I understand 5 years later. I definitely didn't even think about it then. But I don't know if I understand like why he's still staying warm. Like, at what point does he become a better option after 3 innings of not pitching than the guy who's committed to go D1 to pitch? I don't know when that hits.
We saw him get beat a few times over that short left field wall.
Like after the guy throws 200 pitches, maybe?
They took him deep twice. And that one chopped on the ground. Houghton takes the.
Because I suppose you don't want to use a third pitcher in one game since you got to play again. What, 2 days from now?
It was 2 or 3 days. Yeah, that's the thing is you don't want to use a third pitcher because you need someone who's going to pitch in the next round.
Now, who did start the next game?
Jason Krancis, as we mentioned. I think I mentioned earlier. It was a nice shappy cutaway. Yeah, and he went 4+, and you know it was good enough. He kept Tigers in the game, and they ended up winning the game.
Right.
Good enough for me.
This afternoon, so the batter.
It's really part of the tragedy of this season is that this, you know, we've had a couple really talented teams
back in the 7th inning or
past couple years that, you know, fell short either in the sectional championship or in the sectional semifinal. But we had what it took to get where we wanted to go, and this year we had all of that as well, and then some. There's some question about whether we had enough pitching to get there, but if all the players and prospects that were going to be forming the pitching rotation pitched to their ability, not even necessarily exceeded, but pitched to their capability, then we were going to be really dangerous this season.
2 out in the top of the 10th. No score between these two teams. Winner will move on. Loser will start up.
And you knew this year's team already had an ace in Thomas Plunkett lined up.
I don't know if they do that.
It was really just a matter of how they're going to stack up behind him.
Right, and so the junior Joey Casper, who was on the roster, the varsity roster last year, pitched a nice outing against New Rochelle.
Strike 3 called, side
as Nambiar gets a nice called strike 3. A little bit of superstar calls there for Nambiar. Yeah, Casper pitched a real nice game against New Rochelle. I think we committed 9 errors and lost the game for him last year.
LMC Varsity Sports.
But you know, with Casper and then Eli Hollander is another senior that was a great lefty jump baller, and then a whole bunch of juniors from Ben Wexler to Brian Albert, Alex Boswell, all of these juniors coming in. We had all the position players were set. The outfield, you know, led by seniors.
The batter, he singled his last
Toby
time
Mentzer going to play baseball at Union College. My son going to play football instead of baseball at Franklin Marshall. And then Jack Radovich, who was on that soccer team, was ranked. What were they ranked 18th in the country?
I think they peaked at 17th in the country.
Right. Wow. And then you had Ryan McIntyre, the junior phenom, who came up as a freshman at shortstop. And then the co-captains Aaron Cox and Mark Bikino at third and second base.
Right out past the building, we see the
you know, you had a lot of potential to make something happen with a lot of hitting, a lot of good defense, and then some solid pitching prospects. Really a shame. So Kumar, it feels like Kumar was up in every inning.
I know. Every time I blink, I feel like this kid's at bat. And Steve and I playing amateur meteorologist, you know, in the stands too.
The 1-0, Nambiar takes the strike. 1-1.
I think at a certain point we just ran out of superlatives to describe the incoming.
I was going to say reconvened.
Yeah, okay.
Stuff.
And then I decided zoomed was the better.
Wasn't there like a severe thunderstorm warning? And I mean, like it was hairy.
Fumbles it a few times getting it out of his glove.
I just remember that, you know,
half a stride, 2 out.
It was.
So Schweitzer having a little trouble getting that ball.
There was definitely something coming.
He's got a strong
Schweitzer
able to retire Kumar
can throw the ball. Like I wonder, like, how his arm is doing now, because it looks like he short arms a little bit. Nice call there, Nambiar. You're up by 2 steps, buddy.
We'll talk.
That was a half a step.
Come on, guy's out by 45 feet.
Maybe they wouldn't want us back.
You gotta sell it, Ken. You gotta sell it. You're in the 10th inning.
Yeah.
In the sectional semifinal.
I do love it though. I was that guy too, and it like took me 45 minutes to get down the line. So for me to even be that close was something.
0-1 the pitch. Chopped slowly back to the mound. Easy play for Kleingans. And we continue.
I always find that amusing when the pitcher fields the ball on the first baseline and is running in front of the runner.
Just turn around, tag.
Throwing it to first is easier than tagging the runner out.
First pitch is a ball from Nambiar. Here we are in the top of the 11th inning.
It just seems a little less likely than you fumbling the throw to first.
Who was the first baseman there? Do you remember?
Definitely the first 2-0 count that
for Arlington.
Has gone
no,
to.
for
the Bo Sox.
I don't even know because it was Bronson Arroyo, the pitcher, who got the
Bronson Arroyo pitching, and Veritek was at catcher.
Yeah, I don't.
And he takes
First
another
was it
ball 3,
Kevin Millar?
It was either, yeah, it had to be Millar.
Unless they went to a defensive sub. I don't remember. I kind of purged that series from my memory.
It was not Kevin Millar. No, it was Kevin Millar.
Kevin Millar.
Paperwork issues here.
Thank you, Steve.
As
it's the one Boston accent I can do. Is
that's it.
I got it. Here we go.
Big Ploppy.
I figured it out.
Can you give me a Ploppy?
Did.
All right.
Hockey car.
Yeah, there you go.
It was actually not Kevin Millar. Kevin Millar had been replaced entering that inning.
Give us a hint.
Well, that's not what we wanted to see.
Doug Mankiewicz.
Doug Mankiewicz.
Nice job, everybody.
Gamesmanship.
Former Mets superstar Doug Mankiewicz.
That's right.
Don't forget.
When you ask a researcher to look something up, you know, we get
it's going to happen quick. It's going to happen quick.
Number 9 hitter.
baseballreference.com.
Doug Mankiewicz kept the baseball, right?
Sends a sacrifice
I seem to recall him putting it in his back pocket.
Really?
Fouls it off.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's like the old Seth will get this reference, the old missing puck from the Stanley Cup between the Blackhawks and the Flyers, and the rumor that Chris Pronger has it somewhere in his house and won't give it to anybody.
You've opened up this can of worms, Kumar. You've got to close it.
So 0-1 count to Gehringer, who is 0 for 3 on the day.
Remember all the stock people used to put in their bats?
Ball on another bunt attempt.
And you know
especially in high school.
Oh yeah, it's so different now because the standards have changed. They've actually had to tone the bats down for safety. So it's
really.
Like, the bats are only allowed to have so much springiness at this point. So it's really just about how they feel in your hand.
Well, it's an interesting thing because I've had to spend several thousands of dollars on these bats that I know that the BB core effect, what they've done is they've drawn down the trampoline effect of the composite bat to make it perform like a wood bat. The difference between a BB core and actually using wood is one that it won't break. But also at the entire bat.
Very much under the impression. I mean, he's the 9-hitter. You've got
whereas an actual wood baseball bat, you've got to barrel it up to really, get it traveling. Whereas with a BB core bat, you're going to get that.
Got him at second base.
They got him at second
base. Job from Nambiar.
I would be so, if I was Shap, I'd be like, you've got to be kidding me. You're a nut.
Frankly, that is purely a result of the runner not extending his foot.
Yeah.
It's the runner is at first.
He should be safe. He should have been safe. Nambiar should be mad at himself for doing that.
No out.
Let me first say that I was right. He bunted.
One more thought about that extra inning bat discussion while we're on it. It's just interesting to hear how they've had to kind of make the metal bats mimic the wood now. When I was in high school, they specifically marketed a bat that flexed as you swung it to get extra launch.
I mean, Carlin does
we've come a long way.
That's fascinating.
You're happy
is the DeMarini Vexum.
You're happy
the DeMarini. Wow, I had the old DeMarini.
That is a bad play.
I didn't have
that
Vexum.
one though.
It was out of my price range.
I mean,
maybe I did. I don't know.
You're happy you got the force.
Was it blue? Was it black and orange?
I think it came in a few different colors.
Man, this is bringing me back. Bring me back to when I'd make my mom, like Steve currently still does, go buy hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of bats and gloves and crap that I didn't know how to use because I was bad. And I was just thinking that better equipment would make me good. It didn't. I'm a firm believer in you got to look good while you're being bad. Like that's
so far as to call it daring.
That's as much that matters. That's why I still have a nice pure white set of goalie equipment in my closet because I'm not good, but I look good while I'm flopping around not making any saves. That's all that matters. Got to look good.
Meanwhile, back at the
we're about to have a very nice play here. 6-4-3.
To Schweitzer. Another thing Kumar might be thinking
to get them out of this
if there's runners
jam.
on first and second, that's not really any
more
more
it's not really a jam, it's just a runner on first.
Go for the double play and gets it. Pecora.
This is nicely turned.
Put some arm into that one.
Yeah. 6-4-3 double play ends the top of the 11th inning. Score
Pod really had to turn and fire.
0-0. We will go to the bottom of the 11th
It's tough
inning
making that turn as a second
on
baseman.
LMC Varsity
It kind of
Sports.
looks like at the end of every inning, Shap is going over to Nambiar, and I wonder if Shap is asking him, "Are you okay? How much more do you have?" Right?
Yeah.
And every time Nambiar says, "I'm good. Do not take me out of this game."
Because it looks like now they've got 3 guys up in the bullpen.
They got a full house over there.
Like I don't even know what's going on over there.
Well, definitely pulling out all the stop.
I mean, everybody's throwing.
Here we go.
Klein Gantz, ball is off the glove of the
This was a
baseman,
nice play. I remember that vividly.
That's the PFP.
And they get Houghton.
And that's, I mean, that goes back to just our discussion earlier of just like how competent both of these teams are on the defensive side of the ball. Like, as a Mets fan, you know that defense is not a priority anymore. And it's frustrating when things like that don't go the right way because nobody's in the spot they're supposed to be in. Defense in baseball is a lot of just fundamentals, right? And both of these teams are extremely competent when it comes to their fundamentals, and then they let their skill take over from there. It's super apparent.
But let's also mention too that both of these teams are playing such a high-level defensive game in a sectional semifinal in the 11th inning of a scoreless game.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
I mean, you see how neither of these teams is rattled in any way. It is two really good teams that are throwing haymakers at each other, and it's really, really exciting to watch.
Throw over to first, gets the out.
Man, that guy just likes to pump it over there at shortstop.
Schweitzer's been nothing.
So that was Genovese in the last spot, and now Carlin comes up at the top of the order.
Than anyone else in the game.
I'd agree with you.
Thus far.
Carlin's going to have a moment later in this game, but I just want to mention behind the plate how solid he's been too. I mean, very, very good at framing pitches. We've seen those outside fastballs called for strikes in some of these earlier innings. Also very good at blocking the ball. He's been a rock back there so far in this game.
They checked down to first, but he did not offer. 1-0 count to
and with the extra guys out there throwing it, it's just interesting to point out how at Manchester Field, the home bullpen is located within the fences. And the visitors' bullpen, if you want to go warm up, you have to go ask Dad to move his fold-out chair.
We have Andy Carlin, Andrew
because
Summer,
it's located
Peter
in the
Matt,
fans
Andrew
area.
Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, plenty of Andys coming.
Yes. Called strike.
And that had to be a choice that was made on purpose because they remodeled it. They could have moved the fence wherever they wanted to.
For Arlington.
Ball high, 3-1 count. I have to imagine that Klein Gantz, much like Nambiar, was the pitcher that was going to be lined up for Saturday if they had won this game.
Saturday is no longer the plan.
Ooh, Carlin wanted that one, was not really ready.
Funny, I don't think we've seen one left-handed hitter.
For a called strike, 3-2.
Andrew Sommer.
Right.
Okay.
I knew there was one, but yeah, only that one.
Swing and a ground ball back up the middle for a single. And Carlin is on with a ground ball single up the middle. And with 2 outs, we have the winning run at first for Mamaroneck.
You know things are going slow when you're that excited for a 2-out.
I don't think we've had a base runner for Mamaroneck in 3 innings.
2-out single, I got excited. I was hoping for something. And now with Sommer up,
another chance here.
It's going to be interesting what happens right here.
Well,
watch.
2 outs, he's definitely
leave it to me. I don't think we've had a left-handed batter. Next batter, lefty.
Boom.
Dummy.
First pitch, ground ball up the middle. Oh, it's fumbled by the second baseman. Safe at second, safe at first. And 2 runners are on as Peter Matt.
And this is a little more exciting here because now you do have the winning run at second base.
I still think it could end here, and I know it doesn't.
On the second baseman.
That's also how starved we all are for live sports, I think.
Right.
Pitcher for Arlington is getting a lot of ground balls too, which is interesting. He's really Mamaroneck unable to get the ball up into the air.
As the official scorer for my son's tournament team, I'm faced with that decision many times a game.
It's a big task, Steve.
That was an error.
That's a tough play at any level.
It was a tough play.
Harsh.
You know,
I think I gave it to him.
He had it in his glove and then he dropped it. If you didn't have it in his glove, then you wouldn't say it was an error because he had to range so far to get it. But he had it. Of course,
I think we're having the debate on the show anyway.
Picked up a pound of dirt along with it.
Just would have ended the inning.
And what just happened?
So a single from Peter Matt. We will see what Shap does.
Timeout. Oh no. Okay.
Andy Carlin.
Now, Steve, you're freaking me out again, man. I have
happened.
no recollection.
What did I
of
miss?
anything.
Rockland on Saturday. Matt, though, 0 for 4 on the afternoon.
Foul ball on a tough, hard swing.
All right, so it's a 1-1 count.
Hack on that one.
Evens the count at 1-1.
Takes a swing at this next pitch. Let's see what kind of swing he puts on it.
Hit one on the line in the fourth.
Imagine it's a good one.
That was
At least I'm
caught by
hoping.
He's a great hitter, Peter Matt. One of the best I've ever been
Delivery
around.
and the pitch. Swing and a miss.
He had a little bit of a hitch there, though. I'm not sure if that was off speed or what.
Speed pitch there from.
There you go,
I got you. I got you.
So
well out in front.
Turns out, yes.
And
So now 1-2 count with runners in scoring position.
He was trying to sell it off the building on that one, too.
Jesus,
Yeah.
What do you got to say to a guy who's down 1-2 with 2 on, 2 out in the bottom of the 11th of a playoff game?
Honestly, is he really trying to say anything to him, or is he just trying to psych out the other team?
Probably both. I think number one, he's saying, you tried to hit that ball over the school. Please don't do that again.
Right. Contact.
I mean,
and then, like, because you know the other team knows
something's
something's always up.
And the pitch.
Right on the outside corner.
I mean, gee, we've seen some other pitches get called strikes.
So now it went from 1-2. It's now a 2-2 count. And Kleingans.
consistency.
We can see it here. Ken's blocking him.
Oh,
that's a balk.
Oh, yeah. Balked. So the runners will move from first and second to second and third.
What in the world was that movement by that guy?
Peter Matt. All the strategy changes here.
Here you go.
No,
whoa.
No, you can't put them on.
You could only maybe do that if there's a runner on third and you're throwing a pick off.
Yeah,
and even then, I'm not sure.
I almost wonder if somebody on the field screamed and he thought that Steele on, and he, sort of stopped his motion because of that.
There's no reason to think you can't get Matt.
Moves to the wind-up. The pitch.
Doesn't matter.
Pressure's on now, yeah.
The outside corner.
Tough pitch for Peter to take there, but...
yeah, I mean, the one before it should have been strike three anyway.
So. To the dugout, and we move on
that's a big pitch, though, man. I mean, that's...
Here on LMC TV Varsity.
That dugout is crowded, eh?
0-0.
JV call-ups are in.
So here we go. It's top of the 12th.
Those two have been running around the track for 45 minutes now.
And
they just go.
There are 31 players on this roster.
Yeah, this includes the JV call-ups.
Right.
So
there were
plus 118 on
33
Saturday.
last season.
I think you're entering questionable
without the call
roster.
Just to note, I'm commenting on how many pitches again.
He's going to need at least 70 to get out of this inning.
Call me old school. You go with.
And I think they had kept it down to like 28 or 29.
Old school. I'll do it. Don't think I won't, Steve.
Just don't call me old.
That was a big pitch, though, to end that last inning. When you have a guy on third base like that, you kind of lose the ability to throw a ball in the dirt, because if you do and it gets away, the game's over. So to be able to get a batter like Peter Matt to look at a pitch when he's got a pretty good idea it's not going to be low.
I mean,
he was looking for a pitch in that area. He just didn't, go for it. That was a big time pitch.
Well, especially to recollect yourself after you balk everybody over too. Like nobody else did that. That was on you, and now you got to recollect. A ball in the dirt could lose your team the game. A fat one up in the zone could lose your team the game against probably the best hitter on the other squad. And you got to gear up and go get him.
Yeah, and I think that's why Matt was so upset that he flung his helmet when he got back in there, because he knows he missed an opportunity there, and will they get another chance?
That was a beautiful try by Peter Matt to barehand that ball.
That was a great play. Great play.
And they go ahead, run aboard with 1 out in the 12th.
Just to make it that close is impressive.
Replay on that to see if he was safe or out.
Wow, look at this.
Oh, he beat it, but man, was it close.
A little sepia tone there, Rob.
It was less than half a step, though.
Well, this is kind of what happens to how the colors get red when there's like crazy clouds around.
Beautiful bump, but also a great play coming down the line by Peter Matt.
Yes, barehanding it, throwing a strike.
That's a beautiful toss.
Andrew Sommer.
David Wright-esque coming down the line.
He was very, very good at that, David Wright, before his back broke into a million pieces.
And I think what you've got to be most impressed about with this game is the fact that the weather
on the run, to be able to pick up the ball with your,
I don't think that's the most impressive thing.
Ripping it, and
I'm
then
impressed by the weather.
Not be able to readjust and still throw accurately and hard. It's not easy.
You know, after first pitch strikes to just about every batter, he's gone first pitch ball to several in a row here, Ken.
Senza 0 for 3 with a walk. That came back in the 4th. We're in the 12th now. That one low and away, now 2-0. And let's be honest, it could be fatigue.
Yes.
And it could very well be fatigue.
Yes.
I think that's got to be your leading hypothesis here.
Just another one for me there.
Falling behind so many batters.
Right.
Almost 200 pitches in 4 days.
That's still going.
That's a lot. This is no longer a side session.
You know, my buddy who taught me baseball was a pitcher for Bucknell, and he always talks about
on the ground could be 2. On to second for 1, on to first in time.
Nice double play.
That's a
play by Andrew.
That's how you dig it.
Scoop that throw up
yeah, so my buddy's always talking about how these pitch count issues are really being made into something that he doesn't feel is a very big deal. But easy for him to say he obviously had a rubber arm like Turk Wendell.
Right. Oh, Jesus, Turk Wendell.
First pitch swing and a miss. It is
that guy took like 500 innings a season.
Another Met legend, Turk Wendell.
Here,
crazy.
Him
and Doug Mankiewicz.
Wind picking up. Getting a
to that point, like the research is there. Like, you should only throw so much. You know, when you're playing even up through the high school level, and you shouldn't throw year round. I think everything's kind of pointing to that. So.
And that'll have to be a consideration as well.
I've seen it at the college level too. I remember when I was at Quinnipiac, they went to the NCAAs. They had a pitcher throw in one of the games. They won 130 some odd pitches. It's crazy to me how even at the high school level at times, at the college level, they don't care about what the pitch count is. You get to the major leagues at 97 pitches, the entire world comes from.
Yeah.
1 and 2, and that's the newest baseball I've seen for a while.
Right.
I think part of that is knowing your pitcher, and you kind of have to let him do that, to a certain extent. Like, a guy like, you look at later in his career, Pedro Martinez was a guy who once he hit 100 pitches, his performance really fell off. But you kind of have to know, like, is the performance falling off? Because it doesn't work that way for a Justin Verlander or Garrett Cole. Those guys will go 120.
Warming up for them.
But you don't want to go 120 all the time.
Andrew Gross, he got a tough check swing called a strike that he went around when it didn't really look like he did much.
Yeah, that's interesting, Steve. I was thinking the same thing because I seemed super confident on the call in the broadcast saying that he did go around before they even checked down at third. And like watching this guy, I was like, they better check that because he didn't go. And then
they did check, and he said he went. Yeah, but I didn't really think he broke his wrist. Definitely didn't break his wrist.
No.
But then to get called out on that low inside called strike 3.
Yeah, it's tough at bat.
Tough at bat and a tough day for Gross, who had a fantastic career.
I would think tough day for most out there.
Nicely done over there at third. And that's
great grab by Sereno there.
Moving to his left there.
So now Nambiar comes up,
play is number 1,
having played every inning in right field until he came in to pitch.
Started the day at second and then moved over to third after the ejection of Liam O'Leary.
We talk about his fatigue level of his arm. Just a pure fatigue level of being in the game. It's now the bottom of the 12th inning with 2 outs.
Gosh, that was way back in the 5th inning.
So we're talking about ejections here. Rob, you have any recollection of that?
Nambiar was also part of
was that play at third base? Because I think you mentioned Liam O'Henry's name.
O'Leary was ejected, and initially it looked like Nambiar would score. But instead,
so it sounds like maybe he wasn't awarded home plate on that play, but the third baseman may have been ejected.
Wow, that's interesting.
Play on to the 13th inning.
Either way, he's not out there.
I didn't even remember that part. So are we to understand that he ejected the third baseman for doing what he did, but he didn't grant Kumar Nambiar the extra base?
We are.
He must have rejected him for arguing them.
Darken the field here.
You can't say that it
throws his first pitch
would have had to be on the argument.
So, okay, I hate to keep beating this horse because he's past dead.
Hold on, double right here.
Ground ball down the line. Gross chases it down.
Ooh, almost went in that gap.
I know, I was just thinking that.
He will stroll into second with a double.
So lead off double.
So leadoff double. So, and we've been talking all extra innings, right, about how Flato is up in the bullpen just in case, right, something goes on, yada, yada, yada. Flato, at the beginning of this inning, before that double, is still up in the bullpen. He's still throwing. He's been throwing for 6 hours consecutively now.
Yeah.
What's the point? What's he doing? What's he doing out there? Look at him.
We'll never know. But so here's where stuff's about to get pretty crazy because there's going to be a ground ball to second base. You guys remember what happens?
Now 8 for his last 11.
Nope.
I don't. But don't spoil it.
No, won't spoil it. Anyone that's watching out there that remembers this game, this is when
it's getting dark quickly. And that could get
lead gets really real because they decide to go for a play. I wonder if Shap is really talking about you got a runner on second, you got to get him out no matter what you can do.
See if he's going to bunt and then walk.
What am I thinking?
Interesting idea.
It's really good thought there, Ken. Didn't say anything.
Well, so that was a discussion at the mound, obviously, to talk about how to keep the lead runner from getting to third base.
If he does, then you throw to him and you get the out. And then you've got Nambiar up there.
Now, this was the first year Arlington had a new manager, right?
To see Ken, so
yes.
Because I was going to say, because I know the previous manager, they, you know,
Johnson with 1 foot in the box.
They had some games.
Let's see.
And let's get it on.
I don't think he'll be bunting. I wouldn't bunt him.
Ball low.
Still wouldn't do it.
So Kumar went first pitch strike to 11 of the batters that he faced.
You need Carlin also to
and
keep
here he goes
in front of him.
2-0. I think it's the only time he went 2-0 all game.
Wow.
You wonder if part of the reason is they think a bunt is on and they're trying to
Seth, trying to keep the ball away from his bat. Yeah.
And the pitch on the outside corner.
Again, outside. That was a strike, but it was at one he would want to swing at, especially 2-0.
Yep. That's when you.
Don't worry.
Here we go. This is what happens right here.
Flato's still getting one, just in case.
And the pitch. Oh, he looks back to second base.
All right. So you can't even see Miles Houghton in the frame there.
Cover, so that was just
the second baseman. There's Peter Mack.
Oh, I do remember.
Far off third. Runner on second, ground ball to second.
Oh, no.
Trying to get the runner at third. Oh, and he drops it, and he's going home with the lead run. Arlington with the first run of the game as Miles Houghton throws it to Peter.
I had no recollection of that happening. I knew they scored a run. I could never remember how.
And remember what we've been talking about. As good as the defense has been at this level, make the defense make a play. And to be honest, I don't think that's the right play there. I think you get the out at first.
Yeah. I mean, you heard me say it in the broadcast. I mean, the first thing that came to my head was, oh, no. Right.
Yeah. Well, because of where Houghton was on the field and the fact that the runner did not have to lean back or anything. It was a clear ground ball. So he was gone on the play. That's a tough play to make it third.
It's a daring play. And
there's no sense really second guessing it. It is what it is. He got it to Matt. Matt was there. It looks like he wasn't retreating to third on the play so much. And the ball got away from him. So you have to assess the error to Matt on the play, and now the runners advances home with the first run, and then they almost get the out right there. They almost get a double play right there.
And he does. But see, that's a big out. They can get a ground ball double play, get out of this thing. But that's an out you have.
Well, then you're tempting the baseball gods, Ken, because you can't say.
Don't blame me, Steve.
By Arlington.
Who edited this game? What was that?
I mean, I think regardless, I think we can all agree that the ground ball to second is an out that you've got to have it first.
Well, we can postulate all we want.
We can postulate, Steve, but it's still an out you got to have.
There's no way that Miles Houghton did that on his own.
Yeah, I mean that's.
I have to believe that was the coaching instruction.
It's so important now, though. You got to keep it at.
Hypothetically, we'll hear after the game.
1 run here, though. I mean that is.
So hopefully we're hearing it in the post-game interview after a victory.
Yes. Not sure they'll want to be bothered after.
Foul ball, straight back and out of play. 0-2 count with 1 out and a runner on first.
That one scattered the masses.
1 run in for Arlington.
Mamaroneck in the bottom half.
You know what's funny was whenever we filmed these games, there'd be a foul ball above us, and you still weren't safe yet because the ball could ricochet off the building and hit you in the back of the head.
And he's safe.
I think that happened to me at least once.
Another fielder's choice.
So now there was another misplay after all these innings. Nambiar gets
13 is a lot.
And I mean, down to second.
13's a lot in the major leagues, right? You see mental mistakes, physical mistakes taking place in a major league game after 12, 13 innings. Just ask Daniel Murphy. I mean, in the, in high school ball.
You're gonna make this today, Ken.
Sorry, it's tough for me, man. But. For these kids, I mean, who, again, Steve, and I think we've agreed on this earlier today, they're not 23 or 24 years old. They're young.
Be a couple.
Right. And so, they're to be playing 13 innings in an emotionally charged game, in a tie game, is tough.
You've got to work out of it, and we talked about it at the top maybe 12 innings ago.
Again, only because it's so on our minds in today's
good memory.
Current atmosphere is this is the last game for one of these rosters.
A lot closer than you'd expect. You won.
That added intensity and pressure.
I know his first name is AJ. People have been yelling at him for a while.
Point, Ken. Their sphincters are tightening.
Junior outfielder for Arlington.
But you've got to assume that you've got a slide there.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get punchy up in the broadcast booth. That's for sure.
But on we go, and if you're Mamaroneck, you can't
that differs from normal Howard.
Did you see that guy running sprints with the parachute?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Those two in white shirts have now stopped running, so I suppose they're
strike two.
You talking about the weather?
But after the two misplays,
we should get out of here. It's going to rain.
Nambiar most recently to Pecora at second, and the poor catch by Matt at first.
So it gets him looking for the second out.
I think the umpires punched out 400 or 500 people in this game.
Has anyone expressed any concern for the umpires' pitch count? That arm's got to be dangling at this point.
Gotta be.
Very cute, Robert. So now it gets a little wonky again, because here Kumar's going to throw a ball.
I'm going to call you old school again, but I think this is.
And it's going to be a wild pitch.
This is the season. This is the last pitch for the last. Oh, the ball gets by.
Oh,
Carlin and the runners advance.
I just mentioned the pitch count again. Drink.
On the wild pitch.
So now it's runners on second and third.
At once here from Mamaroneck. You made it 13 innings with no mental mistakes.
Right.
13 innings with no physical
mistakes.
Baby.
So now they intentionally walk
perfect defensive baseball
Schweitzer
from the Mamaroneck squad, and now
they're intentionally
the SUNY
walking.
Cortland player
to get to Kleingans.
And now,
but now you're seeing it all happen at once.
Aaron Kleingans.
A compilation of everything.
Comes to the plate.
Perhaps the mental error on Houghton going from second to third.
If you're Mamaroneck here, you have to have this out.
I mean, this is scary.
Yeah, this is the moment in the game where Arlington can either win the game or Mamaroneck has a chance.
At least Flato isn't throwing in the ball.
Handle it a few walks, and here we are.
First pitch.
So ball one there.
1-0 to Kleingans. 0 for 1 on the day. Bases loaded.
Man, he's rushing too.
2-0.
Yeah.
You can see it. He's laboring a little bit. He's still better than most people on the mound.
Right.
But you can see him rushing, and I'm stressed out that he's going to balk because he's not going to stop his motion.
I'd like him to go down on the mound
because he's really going.
Luckily, that's his last pitch.
He also pitched at an extremely fast pace for this entire game.
Yes. Yeah, because his arm's going to fall off if he stops.
Outside the infield dirt, rather, to end the inning. And we will go to the
I almost wonder, considering how things went, that in the top of the 13th, if Mamaroneck had simply tied it, would he have come out for the 14th? My guess is yes, but you can see the effectiveness, maybe the fatigue really starting to set in that last inning.
7, 8, 9.
That's a question, thankfully, nobody had to answer. But don't worry, Flato's up in the bullpen again.
But we wouldn't have had to answer it anyway because the rain came.
Yeah, true.
First pitch is high for ball 1.
Not just the clouds that are rolling in, but on the field as well. An interesting time to be a hitter.
Strike down the middle. 1-1 count to Orgolevitz.
Flato has thrown 500 times.
He's pitching quick and he's throwing
strikes. Is he out there again?
Curveball
yeah.
is in for a strike. 1-2.
Just staying loose.
Kleingans.
He's like, he really is a quarterback at heart. He's just a quarterback throwing on the sidelines.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I'm surprised he doesn't have somebody standing next to him catching the ball and flipping it to him.
Right.
Orgolevitz is holding for time as he gets the instructions from third base coach Chaparelli. Strike 3 on the outside corner.
I forgot that's how this inning started.
Can't be too many instructions now. I mean, it's got to be get something going.
So now Houghton comes to the plate.
I mean, and now you see a guy like Miles Houghton come to the plate.
And
it is dark right now. And
Houghton 0 for 3 on the day.
We should point out, by the way, that in this team's run, virtually all their playoff games were like this. They were all virtually tie games. The sectional quarterfinal, they won 5-3. We'll skip this game for now. The section final, the section final, they win 8-6. The regional semifinal, they win 4-3. They get past Horseheads 5-0, and then again in the state semis, they were tied going into the 7th inning before they went on to win that game, and then the final. But this team got some experience in these really close games, and they knew what to do in some of these moments.
So now, as fast and athletic as Miles Houghton is,
no surprise, as fast as Miles Houghton is, they're sending in Marquez.
As you exactly said it 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Steve, how'd you do that?
I didn't even remember I did that.
The beast running back from the football team.
So Houghton, who I mentioned, right? Maybe Shap tells him to try and get the lead runner because Shap's a crazy man, and it's very possible that he said, hey, if you field it clean and you feel like you have the play, throw it across the diamond and try to get the out of third base, which is a crazy thing to do to me. And, you know, that kid potentially has to live with the fact that he made the throw in the 13th inning, it gets away, they score, they win 1-0, he's sad forever, right?
Strike 1.
He, you know, leads after the leadoff punch out, gets the base hit.
Jeez. Not even close.
I just wonder how much that kid just wanted to stay on the bases.
Right.
And like, yeah, Jackson Allen he can book it. And I remember doing a couple football games with him. But like, he just wants to be out there, you know.
He's running and fouled off straight back.
Nambiar's record this season was 10-0 with a .99 ERA.
Jackson Allen.
Seems pretty good.
Sounds familiar. That is correct.
Struck out 97 batters in 78 innings.
I mean, it's 0-2 now.
He was all section and all state his junior and senior year, and he was the New York State AA Player of the Year.
Incredibly dark here.
I can really see the weather turning out here too.
I'm afraid of a cloud. Like, are you hearing me? I'm like.
I remember how I actually, to be honest,
changed because of the darkness.
I remember tweeting a photo of this cloud, and I wanted to go back and find the photo, and I can't find it. But it was.
He's off. Ground ball into the hole. Jackson
There's a YouTube video of the end of this game somewhere, taken from the Arlington side, and you can see how dark it is. I mean, it is. You know, Rob, our cameras did a great job of brightening up here as Mamaroneck gets it going, but it is dark.
By the way, Rob, I love that you actually didn't catch Kezzie Jackson Allen making it to third. All we saw was the dirt trail.
Like he's hard to keep up with, you know. He can book it.
Right, ran right off the screen. He was so fast.
Not at all.
Wow. Manchester Field, 90 feet and a cloud of dust.
Yeah.
First off, if you could look above us right now at home, you would see the cloud very similar to that in the
I got it.
Yes.
Right before everybody
we're
perished.
Not in Kansas, otherwise you would
Jesus, Ken, relax. It's just a cloud.
And people are running for cover. There are plenty of people here right now who are running for those open doors. There are open doors both to our right and to our left.
Can we get
I'm plotting my escape.
Exits are to the left and right. Please watch your step.
That might be one of the best calls in LMC Varsity sports.
Man, I'm ready to get out of there.
He comes out as we get the severe weather alert on our cell phones. And Jackson Allen on the hit and run from Genovese gets his first hit of the afternoon.
Priorities, you know? It's only the 13th inning.
What do you do first and third here?
Yeah, but look at that thing.
It's scary. I'm telling you.
Listen, I'm a guy. I'm scared of lightning. I do not like lightning. Like, I would have been in your shoes.
I'm generally an inside guy, Seth. So, like, when that starts happening, I'm extra inside.
I'm telling you.
It's like
yeah.
the Independence Day thing.
Defensive indifference.
I'm comparing it to spaceships.
I don't know.
I'm losing my mind.
Defensive indifference. That's a stolen base.
I forgot how ridiculous this got.
The game now.
Well, they did not throw. So in the book, I think.
Steve, we got a bone to pick with you here.
I don't know.
Oh, I remember this.
That is not defensive indifference, you crazy man.
No, it's not.
Ball two.
No, it's not. But it doesn't matter now.
Base hit wins it from Mamaroneck.
We're past the statute of limitations on defensive indifference.
Fair enough.
With speed.
There we go.
They've got 2 chances.
I want everybody
to
watch the camera guy who's running right with the team here. It's awesome, by the way.
Also, look at where is Shappy going after this?
Oh, I love that part. Shappy's going to run off the field now.
And the Tigers storm the
He's
field.
safe. See you, Shaq. I'm out of here.
The line drive to right field.
Oh, that second
that was
base was
just
on
awesome.
his knees.
They're
And
stunned.
the Tigers are off to the sectional championship.
So
They
fantastic.
are stunned in
This is
yellow.
a great moment.
Do you believe it?
How about them
How
apples?
about them apples, huh?
How about it?
There it was. I could feel it coming, Ken.
In between the first and second baseman.
Wow.
The hard hit ball fielded by the right fielder.
There's
But
BJ.
the speed of Genovese and the diving head first
And the
slide
cloud, the
into
kid
home plate
still has a
wins it
cloud of
for
dust in his
Mamaroneck.
lungs.
And once again, Mamaroneck baseball is headed to the
Love the
Section
Shappy
1
fist bump, too.
championship.
Oh, yeah.
And then he runs away. He just books it out of there.
Incredible turn
He's like,
of
it's gonna
events
rain. I'm
as
leaving.
the sky lightened up,
No. Hold on a
clouds
second.
parted,
Hold on a second.
And the victory
Because Shappy's
was
back.
there.
Wow. Steve, wow. I mean, wow.
Wow.
I can't. I
Wow.
don't have it for you.
What
That's
an
why that's
amazing.
not defensive indifference. I'll tell you
Looking
that
at the
right
young
now.
faces of all those players.
That's a stolen base leading to a winning run. They're stunned
See what I mean? Shappy's back.
in their yellow uniforms from Arlington.
What an amazing
There he
turn
is.
of events for the
LMC
Mamaroneck
soldier
Varsity
out there.
baseball team.
I do not believe what we
Major
just
kudos.
saw.
Job
Andy
well done,
Carlin
Mr. Percent
proves his Division I caliber with a super clutch hit in the bottom of the 13th inning with runners
Insanity.
on second and third. The winning run standing on second base with all the speed in the world. You
And
have
this
your
team,
two
because of that
fastest
moment, goes on
base
to win
runners
a New York
on base
a New
in
York
Kezi Jackson Allen
state title.
and
I mean, it's
Emerson Genovese.
they were that close
We'll
to
be
losing in
back
the sectional
in just
semis.
a
Yep.
moment.
Right.
Yep.
And look,
And you got to feel for
Post-game
Arlington
interviews
there,
and
man.
post-game
Like, I mean,
commentary.
credit where credit is due. Obviously, we're doing this
What an
rewatch,
incredible
LMC,
victory
right?
for
Mamaroneck,
Mamaroneck.
phenomenal team, state champs, great
We're here with
game,
Andy Carlin
awesome time.
with the game-winning
But
hit in
Arlington,
the 13th
like for
inning.
when
It was
all
an
is said and
incredible
done,
game
they
throughout.
deserve to be in
A
that
lot
game,
of
and they
defensive
probably also
brilliance,
deserve to play
but it came
more
down to after
for
a
the
couple
state.
miscues, you had
They
to
just
step
ran
up to
into
the
a
plate
buzzsaw in Mamaroneck
and come through.
in
How
that
do you feel?
situation.
Arlington might have been the second best team in the entire state.
Yeah.
They got
Yeah.
it done
I mean,
on the field.
you
They
could
got it
make
done.
that
They could've
argument.
won in the top of the
Yeah, you can make the argument this was
Played
the
good defense
championship
all
game,
around.
right?
Kumar, Bill, pitching
As
helped.
many times as you do
And,
when you
we
watch
did
like
win
the
on bottom of the
ALCS and it's Red Sox
Did you
Yankees,
happen
and you
to
say, okay,
notice that
whoever
as
wins
dark
this
as it
series is
got
going to win the
while
World
you were in
Series,
the
right?
on-deck circle and in the hole, it got a little bit lighter. Did it make it a little bit easier to see the ball there as you were batting?
It was
There goes our
dark
guy
out there,
Kevin
but for sure it
Devaney
was
getting
easier
in
to see
the
it
shot.
because it cleared up a little bit. I was worried it was going to start pouring, but we were going to
Me
get through it
too.
anyways.
Well, after a marathon game, you guys are headed on to the
Well,
Section
Ken, you
1
just wanted to get you wanted to get
Any
out of there,
thoughts
Ken.
on
The
You
doors
wanted
to the right, the doors to the left.
I mean, it feels great. We
Now you're on the
showed up
field, so there's no more doors now.
I'm ready to run. I'm ready to book it. I'm not even doing interviews. I'm ready to.
Ken, where are you here? Why aren't
I'm
you
leaving.
I think he's
Yeah.
cowered in the
Yeah.
dugout
Outside?
for cover.
I think I got Shap. I think I made you do the players, and I got
Right.
Shap.
Oh, that's right, because we decided to get both Kumar and Andy Carlin.
Yeah.
Gave us a
Yeah.
great game. 6 innings of shutout baseball. That's what we expect. And I mean, our bats didn't show
Look
up.
how young
It's-
Nambiar looks
We
there.
battled and we
Yeah, isn't that wild?
13, so
Look how young
You get
Anastas
to
looks
finish your
there.
high school
Who's that?
Section 1 championship.
I will say
I'm
your
sure
hair
that's
is way
everything you
better.
dreamed of. You know,
Better
moving on
there
now,
or
how do you
better
feel?
Oh, better now, man. You got a little bit of a glow up here, Steve.
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't been to a barber since the beginning.
You don't have to tell me about it, buddy. Not like I have to go to one. See that? That's my hairline trying.
My son is actually getting his haircut by his girlfriend right now. Who's that guy?
How did that feel in the bottom half of the
Oh,
13th
raindrops, by the way.
I'm ready to get out of there. I'm going to rush it. Don't worry.
Hey,
by the way, on the interviews, you know, when we started LMC Varsity Sports, there were a number of things we wanted to do. Help the kids get tape for school, help, you know, young broadcasters. Part of why we wanted to do interviews was to allow the student athletes experience at getting interviewed.
Two teams that
went
really
on to
wanted the
play
game. I mean, Arlington,
other,
them.
you know, areas. But that was one of the reasons why we started doing it. Obviously, talking to the coach is a little bit different.
It's
But
nice to go to the finals.
and for the record, I think Shap is the best. Excuse me. I think Shap is the best interviewer that
Well, you definitely can't coach for Saturday.
But,
you had to get there
but that's
first,
where the
so
whole
you did
interviewing
pretty well.
began
So take
there.
us through that 5th inning after that obstruction.
And we
play
get
over
kids
at third
asking
base.
like,
exactly
when are you going to interview me?
Third
So
baseman
like,
take
the kids love it. So we're obviously going to keep doing it.
The ball gone by the catcher. Takes the tag, he gets home because the ball didn't get by the catcher.
We had a great moment. I think actually a year before this, when the Rewatch baseball team made their run to what was eventually a state championship game loss.
Exactly. But a few days off.
Where Mamaroneck hosted one of the regional games, and we had a chance to do it. I think Seth, you were there. And after the game, we're doing an interview, and we got the Gatorade cooler dump on camera. It was during our interview.
Yeah,
we did a really good job.
They also had a walk-off in that season,
and got the big hit.
I believe.
You know, they
so that'll wrap it up here. From
they actually just explained why the runner didn't get, why Kumar didn't get to advance home.
Over the Arlington
is because the ball did not get past the catcher. If the ball had gotten past the catcher, then they would have awarded home plate for the fake tag. But because the catcher was holding the ball, that's why he didn't get to advance.
It's interesting.
Through and through.
Although the third baseman still got sent to the bench.
Right. Well, we didn't even really think about that during the interview, right? We didn't think to ask.
13 innings, the walk-off in the bottom half.
But I guess that's why he got kicked out, even though the runner didn't get to
13 innings for a run. You finally see one, and the next
it's
thing
an
you know, you're walking on the
unsportsmanlike
field.
play.
So
Is that
a heck of a game. You got to give credit where credit is
And that
due.
must be what it was.
Comes onto the mound, throws a heck of a game out of the pen, but then you can't forget about Bill Flato, who goes 6 innings
and warmed up for 14 hours in the bullpen. Don't forget that.
Pitching staff.
Well, this is a lot of fun, guys.
It took them a while, but they got it done.
This was fun.
Well, they beat the
we
got some more games. Rob's got some more on tap, I think.
We gotta get a Rewatch game in here. They're gonna start yelling at me if we don't do a Rewatch.
Now we could do that basketball game, except I'm gonna yell at Steve towards the end of the game because he stepped over my buzzer beater call. So
yeah, that was cool. There was a really cool football game this past fall as well. It was like a shootout the whole time. So
yeah, I'd like to do one I haven't broadcasted, Rob. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that might be fun. So well, we'll set another one of these up soon. I hope everyone out there watching enjoyed as well.
Me too. We appreciate everybody's comments and staying involved and engaged. Just trying to give you guys something to watch and get a little bit of happiness during this confusing time. So hopefully we get another one of these on the calendar soon, and we can all hang and watch some sports.
Yeah, it was.
Thanks a lot, Robbie.
No problem. For me, it just feels great to talk about sports again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's good to see your smiling faces, you jokers.
Oh boy. All right, Rob, take us out, big fella.
All right, everybody have a great evening. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you stay safe out there. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, LMC Varsity. As soon as we know about whether there's going to be a spring season, I will let you know. So stay tuned. We should have some news in the next week, or if not sooner.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.